Welcome to a DropTent media production.
Hey guys, this is Jesse Dram, and you're listening to the Magical Misery Tour. Our guest this week is Mr. Aaron Bell. We're recording this after the episode, and fun fact, Mr. Aaron Bell is in the room, unable to move due to a Charlie horse. How you doing, Aaron? That's fine right there. You can find Aaron at Aaron C. Bell 93. That's on Twitter and Instagram. And when's that show he has coming up, Neil?
That show is September 19th at the Pop-In in Chalfont, PA.
Can't help but notice you still haven't booked me on that yet. Enjoy today's episode. Bye, guys. Hello and welcome to the Magical Misery Tour, where funny people discuss life's unfunniest things. My name is Jesse Dram, same as always, along with my co-host, Mr. Neil Wood, sometimes known as the Vape King of Philly Comedy. The Vape Pope.
I don't want that to be true. That can't be
Vape
true.
Pope
Right?
Neil
Vape
Wood!
Pope. I want to be introduced as that from now on.
Okay.
I will be
That sounds
introduced
good.
as that from now
The
on. Thank
Vape
you, buddy. How
Pope.
are you, buddy? Happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday.
I know.
That's
You
right.
look bright. You look bushy-tailed.
There's a lot we can get into, but if we're going to go with the general conversation, I'm going to introduce our guest first.
Yes.
Good friend of ours, although I'm realizing now, good friend that I don't really know all that much about.
That's very true.
So I'm looking forward to finding a little bit more here. That's what this show is for. Mr. Aaron Bell, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm good.
It's a good
Come in
Saturday.
mellow,
right
dude.
here.
That's right.
You got that beautiful. Me and you both are gonna have that nice voice. Do you get compliments on your voice really quickly?
Yeah, I have before
do.
I got them from mostly black older women.
Sure.
Older black women. I don't know. I said it like that, and then
Yeah.
older white women too.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. But then when it was kids my age, it was always insults when I was younger.
Sure.
Wow.
But as an adult, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool.
What
It kind of fucks people up.
What were the insults?
It was just you talk white. I remember this
but sexy white.
I remember this one girl, she was just like, oh, are your parents white? They must be. I was like, are you fucking serious?
Dude, if your parents are white, that would be fucking.
That would be the
They are
craziest
tan.
thing. That's the best adoption story ever.
Yeah, they left me out in the sun.
Yeah,
When I came out, I was born in a field.
Oh,
literally.
God. Yeah, there's a weird reversal of that. There's a senator or something. I think his name's Bob Barr or something, where he looks just like a white dude, but he has two fully black parents. It's that literal.
So that's that one drop right there.
That's what it was. Yeah,
But can you tell in the facial features that
Not at all.
Oh, so he's kind of like Logic, basically.
Basically
like Logic.
Wait, is Logic? I thought Logic was just
black.
white.
See,
I thought Logic is
You
fucking.
didn't know
His
Logic?
mom is
that for a second.
is white. His
Yeah.
dad's black. But my white friends told me that Logic was white or Logic was black, and I was just like, dude, no fucking way. And you had to I looked it up on Wikipedia.
I don't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, well,
crazy.
it's funny because I had seen him on Harmontown. It's a great episode, actually. Check that episode out. Him and Logic and Harmontown with Dan Harmon. It's a great episode because they just shoot all the stuff and talking about rap and Logic. Really, I like Logic.
Wait.
A lot of people shit on Logic. I don't know
Coincidentally,
why.
isn't there a rapper named Black Logic?
I don't think Black Thought.
Black Thought.
Black
Okay.
Thought, that's what it is.
So, yeah, the first time I ever heard of him, he did a guest appearance on Rick and Morty, and I didn't get it. And I listened to The Bonfire, and there's a long-running drop on that where, you know how he had the suicide song?
Yeah.
They pulled a clip from some guy. It was like a Q&A session, and some guy just comes up to the mic like, "Hi, I just wanted to ask you, could I hug you, please?" And it's really fucking funny.
Yeah, so it's
Okay, I can kind of see it now.
Well, I mean, I can see it. Woo! That is racist. That is. I love it.
Yeah, I thought he was normal. I thought he was normal, but now that I look,
Not that bad. That's Malcolm. That's like Malcolm X.
Yeah, a lot of these shots.
But you can't really he could pass for white.
yeah,
Like,
he's got that Mecky
once I-
leaper. He's something.
I mean, once I see blue eyes, I actually think white Hispanic. I always go,
okay,
oh yeah,
okay.
you're a white Hispanic because a lot of you have slight tan,
but the
you have blue eyes.
hair is kind of.
As soon as you
kinky,
see him
though.
without a hat, I go, okay, it might just be Puerto Rican and
give
black
it to him on the
mix or
hair
whatever
because
like
my
that.
brother has hair like that.
Which is also racist that I just said that.
Wow.
Like Blake Griffin, really. It's yeah, you can see he's obviously black. but you could just fucking, it's like really, really, really light skin.
Right.
So it's just like, and he has red hair too.
Yeah.
So
the
he's
shaved
trying
head
to
look
stand up.
is not again. Then it does gravitate, but I mean, it's just
That's the
racially
big hint
ambiguous
right
that
there.
he gets. He gets like a more racially ambiguous kind of thing,
Yeah.
which is a bummer because in terms of what he's talked about in that, even in the interview and what he's talked about in terms of like where he came from, I can only imagine. I've only heard tales of the black community being just like, yeah, you're not black, dude. there's no way you're black. It's not possible. So I can't imagine, which is what he said he got a lot of. But yeah.
you understand that people have doubted your blackness a little bit with your
I
voice.
just don't fit in with traditional stereotypes. That's really what it comes down to. So it's like
your voice and the exact timbre that it's in. If you put like an English accent on that,
I wish I knew how to do accents.
Yeah.
What are you referring to in terms? If he did that, what would that be to you?
I think it'd be a panty dropper.
Oh, I mean, I imagine. So.
Yeah.
It would just be like Idris Elba.
Yes.
He's British.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
It would.
right.
Yeah, that would be insane. That would be a lot. But I mean, you in your comedy, you talk about race a decent amount. It's not
Talk
a
about
lot,
race.
but
I do
it-
too.
I mean,
Doesn't
it's like
go as well.
it's part of your identity. It's like
Yeah.
being black. It's
No, of
like
course.
you can't like deny it. So it's like your perspective is different from everyone else's. Really, a lot of times. So it's like this is how you see it from a point of view. Same with other people as well. So it's just. I don't know. It's easier to talk about yourself, I feel like, a lot of times, too.
Right. It's
And
easier
even,
when you're
like-
just like, this is my story.
Yeah.
If you want to take it as representative, hey,
Yeah.
all about it. I'm just talking for me.
Yeah, and then just like, then put whatever.
Well, it fits into
thoughts
our
on-
narrative because I think for what we talk about in this podcast is for people who from childhood, I always found like when I first heard, which I had black friends when I was younger, Puerto Rican friends, Asian friends, and all that, but I
didn't.
never. Yeah, I know. We know. Yeah, we know you did it. Your dad was like, oh,
Yeah.
but I just didn't know how much inner hate between light skin and dark skin there was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that
Yeah.
until like a little bit in high school, but not till like college in a formal class. Like
There's like times where it's like
a little
your
ridiculous.
friends, you're joking with each other.
Sure,
about it.
sure.
But then,
But I've heard that shit in songs. You know what I mean? Like I've heard them
Yeah.
calling out like different types of
I mean,
skin color.
it's
and stuff like
stupid. Like you're all gonna get treated the same way by
It's
the
insane.
police, regardless.
Yeah.
It's like you're
Yeah.
black at the end of the day. Like
that. Sure.
you're black. Like you can't look past. I don't know why you would try to be something you're not.
Well, it is something a little universal because if you look at even Asians and Indians, they have the same thing where like the darker, the worse. They
Yeah.
try to make it out. Like India, they actually have the skin bleaching is huge.
Yes. Yeah. That was actually. Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
I know. I was trying to think of a skin bleaching incident I could think of.
I
Like,
mean,
there was-
Sammy
yeah.
Sosa is a big one.
Yeah.
Sammy
Oh,
Sosa
wow.
looks like Frankenberry now.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you haven't seen that?
No, I mean I knew light, but I didn't
Yeah.
know he was actually. Did it come out that he was skin bleaching?
I think he did. I only seen the pictures. I didn't really read the article about it. But
Really?
The pictures.
If you can get the photo, I'll just put Sammy Sosa before and after. It'll turn up.
But I feel like that's just. I mean, yeah, I feel like he definitely did that. I feel like it's not something people made up right there.
Right. That is so extreme.
That's crazy.
And if you already have that new complexion, why the fuck are you gonna wear pink with it? For God's sake.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
I also have not realized that I have not seen Sammy Sosa. I know this Sammy Sosa, and for the audience who maybe just be listening and
He was
aren't
the
on the
baseball
YouTube.
player. He was
I don't
good.
know who the clearly the Sopranos extra next to him is. For the people who are clearly a white Italian next to him. I'm not even trying to be rude. I did not know he did that. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
but like, what if he just changed? He like bleached his skin just to go into another profession right there.
Well, my theory is
Just like
he was so
fucking living his
crushed.
dream.
He was so crushed by losing the home run race to pasty Ofe Mark McGuire that he figured this was the factor I was missing. I wasn't white enough. So there we go.
wearing contacts in this one?
Oh,
He's
that's
changed.
wild.
That can't be right? That's got to be.
God, he looks like
I feel like it's a
he looks
younger
like
him on the right though. I feel
Yeah.
like it's definitely a younger him.
He looks like an
Yeah.
extra in Thriller.
But in Asian countries though, they in Asian countries like Asian women would oftentimes get their eyes like because
Yes.
they're taught that like white is
Sure.
the standard of beauty.
The actual
So-
term they used, there was dude. You know how you get like weird Netflix recommendations and you're like, I don't know what this is.
Right.
I kept getting recommended this Korean girl show called Hello My 20s.
Yeah.
And I started watching one day and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
It's, well, you know, it goes from so stupid, like, you know, we have a new roommate, that one's being mean. And like, okay, and it's just as typical. But then suddenly, like, one of them gets kidnapped and stabbed by her boyfriend. Like, that changes on a dime. Yeah. But they talk repeatedly in that, like, guys that are into, like, oh, I prefer a double lid. And the double lid is literally like, I'm looking at your eyes and you can see it. Maybe the double lid is like just that you have that crease right there. Because many Asians, it'll be like, there won't be the crease. It'll just be like a flat looking thing. And that makes all the difference.
Apparently. I mean, it clearly comes from imperialistic views and the
white
colonization of the
is the
country.
standard of beauty. Like the same stereotypes that you have out for black people, of like you said, like being like men being libidinous, like sexualized, like when the first, you know, like fucking slave owners and everyone came over,
Of course.
like Africa, it's just like, yeah, this is what they look like, and those stereotypes like uphold to today, and like white just being the standard of beauty. I just feel like,
well, Reconstruction did a ton of it. That was after Reconstruction, when Jim Crow hit. I mean, that was when the propaganda really started to rain down.
Yeah, because like after the Civil War, like white people realized they were like poor as well. They're in the same social standing, but at the same time we're also white. And then there were slaves too that didn't realize, oh, we're free. What do we do now? Because you're so institutionalized and almost. I'm sure there's an organization going on within your day.
Yeah, and for because you were talking about Hello My 20s, I'm pulling that up for them so they can see that on our screen there.
It's such a good, stupid
so
show.
They can see that. So check. I did see a little bit of it, and for the audience, it is very interesting. Yeah. It is kind of a cool show. It is subtitles, so but whatever. It's a lot of fun.
They did something that I felt was they were personally trying to trap me. Is my favorite character, the little cute mousy one. Second season, they recast her, and it's like, you're trying to trick me with the Asians look-alike here, okay? Like, I wasn't thinking that. I like this particular one, but now you put in this slightly different one, and you're not going to catch me.
I like this particular one.
Yeah, what if there
it's
were
like auction block,
dude? If there were
psycho.
two Asians that are twins, oh my god, that'd be crazy, bro.
That's one of my favorite classic old racist jokes.
Great.
Did you hear about the Chinese look-alike contest? Everybody won.
Oh,
Jesus.
So
Uncle Phil, get out of here, dude. Get out of here, Uncle Phil.
Do you guys have any particular favorite racist jokes? And these are, keep in mind, they're very much
they're not like
in the
racist.
some of them are like that one. Okay, it is playing on a stereotype. That is kind of a funny punchline.
My uncle only had ones for. I think my uncle TJ, who passed away, like he had jokes like, but they were of the day of like Red Skelton and like of course like of that kind of era, and also oh god, I'm sorry everybody, Rodney Dangerfield, like so he was kind of those, never really dipping into the racial. I don't think like between like Rickles and stuff, that really wasn't their forte, so I didn't get a lot of that. My uncle did have with Philly, because he grew up here. He just had like a lot of Italian, Polish, because he is that. So he had a couple of those, but never with any other.
Oh no, the intra white racism is a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I didn't get that until I was working like construction or like working restaurants, and then you're like, "What are you guys doing?"
Right.
And then it's very
like
racist.
as Irish, we have to make fun of Italian people at all costs.
Yes,
but it goes back for the same thing. It's just we were immigrants at the same time. We were competing over the same jobs and neighborhoods.
The Irish and the Italians actually did come separately, but I get what you're saying. They're very close.
What I mean.
They competed for the same job. Yeah, you did. Because you remember the Irish were first because in terms of cops and Tammany Hall. But I get what you're saying because then at the same job market they did come in the same ways, but a little separation.
Are there any good like white racist jokes?
Oh, there's got to be a bunch.
There's got to be some.
There's so many. I feel like I say a decent amount.
You do. He's like, some of them I wrote.
They're here.
I have them. But in terms of your childhood, so I mean, so that was crazy that your voice is what pulled you out and immediately put you off to the side. Yeah. So I mean, how much of that when you were a kid was?
I mean, I grew up like in Philly. Like I grew up in Philly till I was 11, but then like I moved to Bucks County.
Gotcha.
That year because I was like playing soccer all throughout the Northeast. Moved up there, and then lived in Yardley until I was like 24, 25. That's why I consider myself more from Bucks County.
I don't know if I've been in Yardley. How's Yardley
Do you know
in terms of
have
racial?
you been to John and Peters?
Oh,
it's
okay.
right down. If you literally take right down the road,
right. So it's in that area. Of course, I've been to John Peters. Yeah. New Hope.
Yeah.
Okay. So the disparity for that school was very white.
Yeah, but it's very socioeconomically diverse. So there's like the issue of like heroin. That's like a big deal. Sure. But like there's a high graduation rate.
Right. It's so close to like New Hope, which is really rich.
Yeah, and it's just like it's a lot of kids in each class. So I graduated almost 1,000.
Shit.
Jeez.
#1 prom in America.
I didn't know that.
So
really?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Wait, what makes it the #1 prom?
It's just like they do these like so like there's East and West Campus. Okay. So for different academic purposes. So for like the prom, they'll hold the prom in the school instead of going somewhere else.
Holy shit, he's right.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania High School gears up for best prom in America. Is the first thing. That's crazy. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically they choose a theme based on the prom, and then everyone, they're allowed to make these floats, and they basically get a parade where either some sort of automobile drags the floats, you get off, and you have the prom there. They have different dinners at each time. So people, and there's like a ventriloquist.
I'm gonna pull this up. Ventriloquist.
Wow, you just put it over for me.
And then so my prom, we had Asher Roth performed at my prom, and then he had It was like T Mills as well, because like 96.5 was like holding a. You call in, we'll do your prom. So that's in addition to
I pulled this up. So they're looking at this, and the title of it is this. This is the best prom in America. The Pennsylvania High School Dance has a 6-figure budget. Whew. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
I had no idea. Our prom was a shit show. It was awful. I loved it.
I mean, yeah, it was cool.
I didn't go. I mean, I just went to the forum, the beginning. Did you guys? Oh, yeah, you guys definitely did that. Yeah. But did you guys do it? The promenade, like when you actually come down and walk.
I did that once.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just did that because somebody needed a day for that, and then I left. I never went to the actual prom, and then I drove down and went to the party after because I didn't want to go to the prom.
Why didn't you go to the prom?
I didn't enjoy a lot of the people at that time who were going to the prom, so nor did I want to be around them.
Gotcha.
I went because one of the girls who I was kind of friends with, and we had dated when we were like, I don't know, like 8th grade or something like that. She was very nice, and she was like, oh, my dad can't go to that, but he'll be there. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll walk you. That's no problem. So I went to that and then just bounced out the back door and just left. I don't want to say I hate them now because I don't hate them, I guess now, but let me just put it this way. They very much talk. There's a group that they talk in for my class. Like they on Facebook, they do reunions where they all, go.
Oh God.
I don't, and in that I might have gone through and scrubbed through and never saw my name mentioned because I'm pretty sure I'm like, I don't want to go to that.
No, they never understood you, man.
No, what? Like, did they do something so bad? Because I forgive. I don't hold anything personally from anybody. It's just like it's high school. People act weird.
I've squashed. I had some old high school grudges for a while that I kind of squashed.
Unless it was like something super awful they did to me, but it's just like it's like whatever. Like words are words.
Sure. I think it was a combination of just like, I bet you now because we're all adults, they probably wouldn't care. Like, and if I went or not. Or we're adults now, but I definitely remember the disparity of like what it felt like in high school versus like when we were in college, and kind of I went to a couple of things where they were, and much like night and day. It felt like to me. I was like, oh, what, you guys are like being normal and just having fun, and that's fine. But before that, it was just like constant teasing. It was or just exclusion from that. It was definitely exactly what you think, because it's a small Catholic high school, so that means like this is the table where they sit every single day. No one else sits there unless they feel, or you're just going to be some weird guy sitting at the end of a table, clearly trying to get into the group. You know what I mean?
So you had a
very cliquey.
Okay. You had a clearly defined caste system.
Yes,
at school.
Very much so.
A group of guys or a group of girls?
No, girls and guys. They would sit together. Yeah, and then
like
you kind of yeah. So it kind of
it would be way funnier if it was just a group of like girls, and you're like, why would you let me sit here with you?
You guys don't mind if I sit down, do you? Like No, yeah. So it was kind of like it kind of formed over the high school experience, but it was you had some gender kind of off to the side. It was like young ladies who kind of liked each other over here. Then you did have a table of the mixed kind of party folk. I don't want to say party, but they did party a lot. We knew that they partied kind of together. It was football and cheerleaders and stuff mixed, or athletic folks mixed together. And that was kind of like the two kind of main groups of kind of what it fell into, and then everyone else kind of fell underneath or around that in some way. See, I sat with the outcasts.
The only high school transgression I haven't forgiven is myself. My one and only opportunity at a threesome was in high school, and I turned it down because the one girl that I already done stuff with, she was kind of cheating on one of my best friends with me. Ooh. Yeah, and then she came back, so I'm already feeling guilty about this. And a few days later, like, hey, next time we hung out, we're doing stuff. My friend Jessica wanted to come along. I was like, I feel so bad. Like all of like my Catholic education is coming up and screaming at me. And it would have been an extra step, too, because it would have been like a black girl and a white girl. So it's like, I'm jumping straight in. Look, I know that shouldn't matter, but it does.
Jesus Christ.
It does for him, because, again, he didn't
This is like one of those things that justify, I'm not racist, see?
It's like if you're trying champagne for the first time, and the first one, if the first time you try a cigar, it's a Cuban. I mean, come on.
Such a terrible comparison.
I like. I also have to make the cigar a race as well.
I feel like, yeah. Like,
does it all have to be? No, and Jesse, if you don't know from Jesse grew up and he didn't, like he said, he didn't have a lot of friends who were different.
I grew up in Belmar, like right over the bridge.
A beautiful racist place.
It's white lower class. There's some mixing in, but realistically, it's just there wasn't much representation. Like the few black kids and your dad, they weren't into anything. My dad was dad was the kind of racist where it's like they're all terrible aside from the Johnsons. The Johnsons are okay.
Yeah. And which is like, very common.
Yeah. Okay. Like, okay. So they're all terrible aside from the ones you know.
Yeah.
Personally. Gotcha.
It's almost like it's like you just getting to pick and choose. It's almost like you don't really know anyone other than the Johnsons and you haven't talked to anybody else, Dad. Oh, okay. Whatever.
Just to bring that up briefly, yesterday was the 10-year anniversary of my dad's death.
I wanted to post so bad. I was like, did you just copy the post from last year? I wanted to. I know, but then other people underneath, I was like, what if his mom sees it or something? I don't want to be rude.
No, I had that thought. I wrote up a big post. And the funny thing is, I wrote that post during a bathroom break at work. So I ended up just crying on the toilet, just thinking about Dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, buddy.
He would have liked it that way. But tonight I'm actually going to meet up with his brothers, and we're going to go
that's cool.
Hang out and chat. And there's like a Black Sabbath tribute band playing.
Of course that's what you're going to.
That's right. It's
just beautiful trash.
Garbage. I love it.
We should probably get into our guest a little bit,
right?
But because I don't know if we ever came around to it. So, what was your high school dynamics? Because we tried to go there, and then me and him started talking too much.
I mean, I kind of just did my own thing. I didn't really start socializing more until like junior or senior year. Naturally, like kind of when I did get a car and had a little bit more freedom.
Okay,
I was kind of more to myself. I mean, I would like. Maybe kids I would be like chill with in school, but that's it. So I had more acquaintances than actually friends.
So what were you doing by your lonesome then?
I mean, just playing soccer on the weekends. Really, just playing club soccer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was someone who kind of like used soccer as the vacation focal point. Kind of just like took himself out of the game. I think I've talked to Aaron about this a little bit because we had you on Nerds with Words.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I just played sports. I just played soccer.
Played soccer, did school, focused on that, really. I mean, because I was just like, my grandmother was like a teacher, so I was just like always.
But what was the teasing like before you went to Yardley? Was there teasing in Yardley as well? Or did you do, you know what I mean?
Oh, no. Like when I lived in South Philly, I went to like a mostly black. It's actually, I lived in South Philly, and the school's not too far around here. It was like Calvary Temple Christian Academy. So it was mostly black private school, but it was only like, it wasn't many kids at all. It was like 70-something kids from K through 8 or something like that. So some different class.
So when did you left 8th grade from there?
No, that was like 5th grade.
5th grade.
So 5th grade was
so wait a sec. So even as a young kid, before your voice changed, you talked white?
No, it's just like, I just talked. Like, I'm educated. It's not talking white. It sounds white. Like, my voice sounds white. If you don't hear, like, you don't see me. Like, it's like, it sounds like a white dude. It's just talking correctly.
I think Jesse's referring to that. I think you had said that you were gotten teased from other people because you might have sounded, as they would say,
oh, yeah.
white.
I mean, but it's just like those, it's like that more, like I said, like fifth grade through eighth grade, fifth grade through middle school, dumb racism. Like, not even. It's just like ignorance more than anything. It's like I've never been around anybody like that. This is my only representation of black people that I see on TV in negative ways, and this kid's completely different. He's not dumb. He's smart.
Yeah. What was the home life? You got what's in terms of what do you got? Sisters, brothers?
So I was raised by my grandparents. Mom and dad never got married, so I have a brother. I think he's like 31.
Hey, dude, on the run.
Yeah, I have a brother.
Love
that's like 31. Stepsister that's my age actually.
Older brother. You saying? Did he give you shit?
Like we was cool. We would hang out. He was like from my mom, so it's just like we would hang out on.
I hope
weekends.
He's from your mom.
Yeah.
Okay. You meant like not your dad.
Yeah.
Not I hope. But I was like, oh, okay.
They didn't
sorry.
get married, so we were like we would alternate weekends. So I would go over there, and like we had a pretty cool relationship. Like we would normal brother stuff, like play video games.
Fuck you, dude. That's awesome.
Chill, wrestle, all that shit.
Was were the parents like? Was that like tragedy when they broke up? How bad?
It was like a fling.
They were just okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like a.
They had 2 kids on a fling.
No. It was just more like they were seeing each other for a bit, but like
gotcha.
Decided not to get
but they
married.
didn't part ways and like terrible.
No,
that's great.
It was like before I was really born, and my grandparents decided to step in and raise me because like. My grandmother was a teacher for a while in the Philadelphia school district. My grandfather was a detective.
Oh.
It's like
And
casual
so it's
parents.
just like, yeah.
We don't need to be married. Let's just be casual parents, dude.
Well, see, I think there's a benefit to having parents like that because I think you get a better idea about how adult relationships really are.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give a good example. So my roommate was talking about a friend of ours saying, I got to make up names here. I think Betty and John are splitting up. Like, I think Betty's going to leave him. Like, why? Like, because they got in a fight earlier and she left and she hasn't called him in 6 hours. Like, yeah, that's what a regular relationship is. Like, what do you talk? Like he thinks this is the divorce.
Day. Like, you're supposed to talk every single part of the day. Like, what the fuck? I got shit to do.
Right, but it's that kind of like some people, they get older and they realize like, oh, okay, this couple's not really like, this is a marriage of convenience, and they separate. Like I knew at a young age, one of my mom's close couple friends, they were fucking swingers and they're fucking gross. Like I knew I didn't like them for some reason.
Aaron, I mean, 6 hours in today's time in terms of social media is forever, apparently.
Especially when you see them posting shit too,
right?
And not responding to your messages.
I mean, I don't fall into that shit because I agree with you of being like, I don't really. That's not my
you don't
thing.
Need to be.
Yeah, it's just not my.
Why do I need to talk to you all day if we agreed to hang out?
Which is not what women or anyone in a relationship wants to really hear.
No, but
right.
it's like,
there's a little bit of that, like, hey, let me miss you a little bit.
Yeah. See, now that's the way I should see it.
Yeah.
Well, how about you just call me? Like, just do that.
That would
my
be.
God.
I'm in a brand new relationship and she listens to this podcast, so I'm being very careful with my words.
But I mean, I feel like getting it. No, see, this is something that came up. I think we were talking about relationships on some other podcast I'm on, and it was something where that is true. But I don't think you should. I think those are. We talked about, and this is going to come to you because think about this, because the next thing really is like young relationships. And I want to know kind of, because you were playing soccer and all that shit, but like, you're fucking glistening. You know what I mean? Your shirt's off, dude. You're an athlete. You're just like, dude, there's. I know you're going to, of course, be humble and be like, nah, not really. Dude. I wasn't. I mean, but you had to. Did you date in high school or anything like that?
Yeah. I really haven't been in a
Like I
relationship,
said, dude,
honestly.
He's a fucking robot. I know he's not real.
I mean, I've hooked up with people.
Sure.
Like I haven't. I don't like.
I'll say relationship, hookup, whatever. I mean, were you sexually active in high school?
I only had like one sexual experience.
Okay.
So it was like. Yeah.
Begin.
Yeah.
Begin. Tell me all about it.
No, it's just like the bit I did. I got like head in a porta potty.
Okay, that'll sour you on it for a bit. Okay.
Porta potty.
Yeah.
Please.
Starting on a Blumpkin.
Please, I want that to be the fucking album title. Please, dude.
It's just like,
head in a porta potty.
No, it's just like the album would be like this. I just sit in the toilet, slumped over, right, dead.
Oh God! I can picture it. I can picture the door cracked a little bit, girl in front, and in the foreground we just see in use.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
that was it, really.
But well, how did you meet? What do you mean that's it? It's not that's it. How did you meet? Did you go to the same school? What was she passing you by on the fucking sidewalk? You dipped into a porta potty? What do you mean?
No, it was just like one of those like kids were like throwing like parties in high school.
Okay.
It was just like this like carnival, really.
Yes.
It was just like, that's really it. Just
Yes.
dancing, and yeah, that was
At a
it.
shitty
Right there.
fucking carnival, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's toothless carny checking you out from behind the porta potty as it's rocking.
So, all right, so you haven't really done a whole bunch. Is that like because you don't pursue, or
I don't
you're
really
just
care,
not particularly
no.
interested?
I mean, I'm not like, I don't pursue that much. I'm not really.
It's a judgment-free zone,
chill.
too. I want to say that.
No, I don't know. Not
I'm
really
like that,
good
too.
Either.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really good at it. Like, I'm not really like, I don't know. Guys who are good at just being like, yeah, that's the girl I want to talk to.
Yeah.
And then just like, fuck. And it's like, good for them. I don't have that.
Sure.
I
don't
get
know.
it.
Dude,
I
was
don't
just
have
like,
that gear.
I don't know how
either.
to just, it's like, okay, I have to talk to you for a little bit and then like you. And then, let's be friends.
So no names. Have you had any female comic hookups
No.
yet?
That's a dangerous
me
spot. Why would
neither.
you even ask that?
There would be no
That is a
names.
dangerous-
But I also mentioned that knowing that I have none, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm one of the few that have none.
Sure, maybe. Yeah. But so that interaction in high school, that was your one. That was kind of a sexual interaction. You guys didn't date, so there's no dates in high school or anything like that.
Yeah. And then just college, just lost the freshman year. Like,
Lost it freshman year. Nice.
That's really it. Yeah.
Good for you. Was that a relationship or you just lost
No.
virginity freshman year?
Yeah. Just someone who was like a friend. So.
Love it, dude.
I've
Just
never-
casual. Just
I
kinda,
have
yeah,
never
I don't
fucked a friend ever.
Really?
My first blowjob was from a friend, but as we discussed before, she died soon after.
know. Yes, that is right.
So,
that's when you started. Yeah.
Oh shit! So how close were you before she died?
We
So
were
you
I was
fucked. She croaked. What was that time period?
We
They
did.
were
how
super
long-
close
We
after.
didn't fuck. I got a blowjob. It was the summer. She had a brain aneurysm in late September, and then she died on my 18th birthday, October 3rd,
God damn.
2004.
Love that story.
There's a reason I do
Weirdly
this
enough,
fucking podcast.
Giving someone head in a porta potty.
No, that's not. She was a nice girl.
Oh, she was giving him a head. That brain aneurysm. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm in a weird mood
That's
today.
some crazy head
Yeah,
chopping
yeah.
down on it. You get through that.
That's cool. It's very interesting in terms of your casual. But I mean, I am like that now in terms of how I perceive dating or pursuit. I don't even use pursuit really for anyone I'm interested in. I would just say people like maybe I'm interested in dating, but like I'm like that now. But in high school, I think I had like more to lose. I think there was a little bit of the hormone ego kind of thing, or just
Right.
being like,
There's
you gotta
ego
like
validation.
me, right? Like there's like you just want to be accepted. So I think it was more of like. But I was also kind of just like, anyone's interested in me, let's do this. So
That was my first one. It was very much just like, yeah, okay, this is fine now.
yeah. But you're very much like, how much does the ego play into you? Where does your ego come into?
I mean, I don't really think I have too much of ego. Like, of course, actually, no, we all do a little bit. We all think we're a little.
you can
bit,
suffer ego,
a little
Jeff.
bit of this shit.
Did you do psychedelics when you were younger?
I didn't do any drugs until I went to college. Honestly,
You're just
I
like a
didn't do
fucking
anything.
Zen master
Like,
as an 8-year-old.
I mean, like, no, I didn't do anything until I got
got
to
you.
college. Like, it's like, I mean, I suck at drinking.
Yeah.
So I'm really not good at drinking. Like
get you.
this is like my first high school experience. Well, I only drank once in high school, had a bad experience. So it was like high school senior year after I graduated, maybe a week or two. It's like the first time I was really able to stay out late. Of course, you just lied to stay out with my friends. Because like my curfew gradually went up like as I got older. You know, it's like fuck it, senior year. It's over.
of course.
Yeah.
But wasn't allowed to go to prom house, by the way. But that's nothing to do with this story. So that's just people kind of parents I had, like they were worried about that shit. But anyway, yeah. But like, so went to this party. And it was like the first time I was like, oh fuck, there's alcohol, and I mixed like beer and liquor.
Oh, and
And then passed out. They do the typical, the cops are coming, rush everyone out. My friend that was with me leaves. But like I know some of these kids in this kid's house,
Right.
but then there's like some kids I'm like acquaintances with, but like not really close. Passed out, like threw up in a bathroom, head on a toilet, like right here. And the
Girl
kid's like,
giving you a blowjob.
yeah. Second time, bam, reappears.
Every time you get into a restroom, it's a real problem, dude. It's a real issue. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but like, yeah, so like I'd like pass out, like kind of in the bathroom near the toilet, and the kid's like, yeah, I gotta move your car. Can you give me your keys? Because my car was kind of out front near his fucking house.
Right.
So I wake back up, I have the keys, but apparently like they were driving around in my car for a while. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking wild. And then freshman year, like first week, I just fucking died because like I don't know how to drink.
Right.
People were just doing a power hour.
I
was
never
just like,
cared for him.
Power hour, but this is how dumb I was because I just didn't drink before. I did
Sure.
power hour. My friend had like vodka and lemonade.
What? No,
And
you don't.
I was stupid. I was so stupid.
Yeah.
I was so stupid. I was so
Power
dumb.
hours are always beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always beer.
And I didn't really like beer. So
of
it's
course,
just like,
I don't
really,
like beer now a lot.
I'm starting to like it now, which is kind of crazy. I just guess because being
Right.
around bars a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is an acquired taste, so
That's
Sure.
what everyone's saying. I'm kind of learning that a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm starting to be able to tolerate it. But for a while, I couldn't, and I feel like that's probably. I don't necessarily do it that much, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I
Just
mean,
to feel a buzz every once in a while.
well, that's the thing. You made a very rookie mistake, which is like
Mixing.
beer is the training wheels of drinking. That's where you learn what you can handle, what you can't. If you throw fucking liquor in there straight up, I was good into my drinking where I knew like I can have this much and I'm good. And then that's when like the fucking again teenager, the whiskey, the Jägermeister came in.
It bums me out that a lot of guys, I'm calling a lot of guys out. A lot of guys who grew up with just stayed in crappy beer forever.
Yeah.
They just drink crappy. I'm on Bud Light, dude. I'm like, well, I don't even mean beer. I was like, go to whiskey. Get over to some scotch and have a good time.
Right.
Like,
Try to be a little
it's such a
dignified.
different drunk in terms of, and you're all gonna get just like
you drink
fat.
it straight though.
Yeah.
Scotch straight.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh, it's
I don't
delicious.
like alcohol straight. Though.
Sure.
hate
Oh, I
that.
mean,
hate
I'm talking.
that.
Well, that's what we talk about in terms of training wheels.
Right.
Is you
It's-
kind of get
it's
you,
only
you
the
do a rum and coke, and then before you
I
know
like
it,
Jack and Coke.
yeah.
See, it's only like the nicest of scotch I can have without some kind of mixer.
Yeah.
Because then it's kind of really half the fun of it is just like, oh, this isn't making me pull a sourpuss face right now.
Right.
It must be really good.
Yeah.
Take a
Scotch
little
water
sippy
back,
sip.
dude. Scotch water back every time. Yeah.
On the
that's
rocks
way to
for
go.
me. I've gotten way more on the rocks lately.
And careful with that shit.
Yeah.
It ruins some scotches. But anyway.
Wow.
But okay, so drinking is kind of so college.
Yeah,
Throughout college,
so
was there
it's-
more relationships and stuff?
I mean, I tried talking to people, but nothing really.
Nothing
kind of
severe.
fizzled.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
That's
you.
really it.
But and some
I don't
more
know.
sex, obviously, of course.
Yeah.
But just casual, just meeting
Yeah,
people. I
that's
love
right.
it.
So you
No one
haven't-
really.
it was
I'm
chill.
just surprised that you didn't like
I'm just-
fall in love at one time or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what was that about?
I mean, I don't think I'm ready. That's really it. Like, I
gotcha.
don't think I'm.
Okay.
That's
like,
very mature.
wow.
Yeah, like I don't think I would have time. I'm I'm that person. I really can't multitask like that. I can't. I'd focus on one thing. And
I'm
it's just
not good
like
at that either.
it's like, would you rather go out and do a mic or hang out with this girl? I'd rather kind of go out and do a mic. No offense.
I'll say,
Like,
I'm great
and
at
it's like I'm
multitask.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
No,
it's just
no,
like
no, I was
I mean,
cutting
like
you
if we, especially it would be someone who's just like, okay, I'm fine with this, or you coming over later, us hanging out later. But it's just like I'm very independent.
See-
Like I'm introverted too, and I don't like being around someone all the time.
Sure.
See, the,
Focused
the,
as
the,
well.
the trick to that is, as somebody who I feel like I multitask at least better than you two, is it's constant like guilt and recalibration. It's like, okay, you know what, we hung out a bit last week, but I really should be getting out there a little bit. So it's always like on a week to week basis, and it's really asking yourself, like, you know, how much am I really going to gain going to Boat Mike tonight where nobody's really paying attention in the first place? Love Boat Mike, but
Sure. But,
I had a bad set this week, so I'm just taking that. Boat Mike is the cause of all my troubles. Were you there for that?
yeah, I was there Monday. I didn't really, dude. It's a mic. Are you really pissed that you're bombing at a mic when you're trying new
Always.
stuff? It's a workout, dude.
Always.
It's a workout.
The only good thing is I have that new Black Little Mermaid I'm working on.
The innocent black teens joke was good.
And I've had that
That's
one.
a
I've had that one.
good joke,
the,
dude.
the part that worked best for me is like none of it was working, and then there's this one guy, and he's brand new. And
Black.
don't just say his name. All I know is I keep seeing him on Facebook, and he is just like. I'd like when we get some new people into the scene and they have no idea of the tact or etiquette. Sure. Every single day on Philly Comedy Network. Hey, any mics tonight? It's like, yeah, you can check the file section. Literally, like every day for the last 2 weeks. For the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
That's fun.
But he laughed at my innocent black teens joke, and that was I needed
That
that.
was a good joke.
I needed that
Yeah,
validation.
dude, it's a mic. It's a workout. No.
I
There's certain
always,
mics
I
you don't wanna
always want to
bomb
do
at.
great.
Yeah, but it's like you have to. I mean, have a plan going in, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a mic you're trying out. So you don't want to. No, I'm saying you don't want to bomb every single time.
Right.
But there's mostly comics there. You're trying out new stuff. Dude, you fucking bombed it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. What you got the one joke you could work on. Those jokes around it aren't completely dead. You can either add on to something. It honestly might be a good premise.
Right.
Or I had to say it a different way.
All right. Well, you know what? While we're actually discussing new premises, Neil, you want to get on this bullshit?
My phone is not presently with me, but I can try.
Are
I
we
do
only
have
going
some
to
things.
Are we only going to titles because these are actually good
Yeah,
ones?
we're not.
I don't want to.
No, it's I literally this is literally in my premise pile.
Okay.
So we did this on the Alex Yang episode where me, Alex, and Jeff we all swapped phones and we read our little like note.
Okay,
premise.
that's cool. I like that a lot.
tell you? We don't have to swap. We can tell you.
Yeah, he's like, dude.
Okay, yeah, okay. You don't trust me
Because
then.
no, these
Jesse,
are
I've seen
more
you-
all written out though. I don't not trust you. It's not you.
Jesse, I've seen your bits. It's not going to work out.
Yeah.
All right. So here, all right. I have one. This actually might be more of a sketch idea. I thought of this the other night. Instagram Jesus. Modern day Jesus is really upset his message isn't getting out there on social media, and so he resorts to typical attention, fame, whore, social media celeb tactics.
Oh, that's fun.
So really like popping the booty out there with like "Blessed are the meek" on his ass.
Yeah, that's fun.
So-
I like that. Well, it's got something to it.
There's meat on it.
Yeah.
This one's disabled vets being crisis actors for diabetes commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crisis actors
I
for
like
diabetes commercials.
Yeah, I lost my foot after being
It's just like diabetes.
I lost my foot in
Diabetes.
Fallujah. I mean,
That's crazy.
Diabetes.
I like that a lot. I have been. This is real simple. It's not even a joke. I have been having thoughts about the fact that I walked abroad to go to work to get on the trade, and multiple times walking different points during the day, folks around here who are outside will just be like, "Yo, what up, Mark?"
To you?
It's black folks having fun with me.
oh, okay.
Every white guy they see who looks like me is Mark, or they give me like a generic white guy name as like a joke, so I'll pass by and be like, "Yo, what's up, Mark?" And I'm like, "My name's not Mark, guys." He's like, "Oh, my bad.
No, you come right back. You're like, ah,
Thought you were Mark."
what up, Leon? What's up
Yeah,
with you?
see, now I knew you were gonna
Yeah.
Jesse. That's not what you do.
Leon is
It's
one
like
of the
a-
least
that's what you
stereotypical
got.
names. It wasn't a Tyrone. It wasn't a
point is-
Thurgood.
yeah,
Tyrone would be
that's
so
the-
stereotypical.
Yeah.
DuPont,
Leon is more
DuPont.
ambiguous.
But that's been a lot of fun. That's been a lot. So
I
that's
don't think
just
I've
like
ever even met a black guy named Leon, but it feels like there should be.
I worry about you sometimes. I really do.
That's
in terms
okay.
of why you would care about. But I've been having fun with that a lot lately. So just in terms of just seeing folks as I'm walking by, just having fun with that, and they do it to other guys. It's funny. And what was it? The other thing is I had a kid ask for $1 yesterday. And I knew he didn't need it, but he just took it anyway. And then he came into the laundromat later when I did this outside. He came to the laundromat and then showed me more money to him, like gloating. Like he had like a 10 and a couple of ones. Like so he showed me my $1. Can I ask him about it? I was like, what do you? Yeah. I knew 100% he didn't. He was just like, well, can I get $1? I let him use my phone earlier. He's like, yeah, we got locked out of the house. 100% his grandma probably just didn't want him in the house, like him and his younger sister, like playing around. So they're like waiting for her, but they didn't have a phone. So I was like, yeah, dude, use my phone. Go call your grandma. They call his grandma. Nothing happens. But he's like, later, he's just like, well, can I get $1? Now this is very common that a lot of times people know that it's like, oh, you're a white guy and feel like you could probably spare $1. And I've had this happen multiple times across all different types of people of just like people asking for money. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, dude, go get some candy or something like that, whatever you're doing. But I loved it that he came in later and like fanned out my money in front of me. Like the money, he was like a 10, he was like, ha ha ha, like that. Like, he had his tongue out and stuff.
What was the purpose of that? Like, you were stupid to pity me?
Yeah.
What if he burned it in front of you?
Oh, I would have been
That would
so
be
great,
awesome.
dude. Just like burnt money, throwing it, fucking like goose. It was like, you fucking stupid, you're dumb. Like I was like, all right, man, I'm fucking just putting quarters into doing my laundry. Oh, fucking dude, Jesus Christ,
Dude, the goal, honestly, is when you're at the stoplight, don't look them at the eye and you feel less bad.
I always do that when I get off the highway. Oh god! Every time I get off the highway, I really want to listen. I know a lot of people are all about stolen valor. I want to start with the homeless. There's no way they're all fucking.
They're not.
Listen
The
to
ones
them.
with dreads, the white dudes with dreads, they're just dirty hippies.
Oh yeah,
That's all
that's
they
just,
are.
Oh god,
They're dirty hippies.
Veteran down on his luck. Like I don't believe you.
I believe them more than the younger people. That's what I believe.
All right, well,
I believe the older people more. Than
There is the scourge of white people, which is the crust punks who you see them. They always have a dog. They always have a guitar. and they're just gross, and I don't care about them. They're I know one of the terms they have is trust fund punks. They're just like, they're running off for a year because mommy and daddy will take them back at some point.
And they decide to run off this way.
They decide to be homeless.
Most people go to Europe.
Not that they got to rebel against all that bullshit, man. By just fucking terrible.
I want to apologize now for everyone who had to see me with like my shoes off. Yeah. Just like I didn't plan on being seen.
Yeah,
but,
I had my shoes off in this room about like a month and a half ago.
Your feet are terrible.
That's confident.
Here's the thing.
Feet are so bad.
I've been warning the new girlfriend about that. She hasn't noticed anything wrong with my feet. Like, has gotten her nose up to my feet and been like, I don't smell anything wrong with your feet.
Okay, so she's dead nose. She's got dead nose, dude.
Yeah.
She's got there's no. Have you been keeping care of your feet? You've been trying to keep more care of it?
Not any more than usual.
You should.
Although, all right. So here's the thing. In this new relationship, okay, have you guys with any of your partners ever smelled each other's armpits?
Sure. Not like probably on joking in some way or shape or form. Yeah, probably, but not like. Yeah.
She and I were literally.
It's not like a ceremony or anything. But.
Right. Yeah. We didn't light any candles beforehand.
Right.
But we were discussing just like the biological components of attraction and
pheromones,
how. Yes, and a lot of our pheromones, and we decided to test it out, and yeah, both. It led to a lot of fucking.
I love this.
It was a lot
It's
of fun.
such a forced. Like you guys are forcing it
it's like
so
fuck
hard.
it.
You know what I mean? They're just like, I need to make sure this is right. I'm gonna smell your fucking hormones and get them inside me.
This is like everything I've ever heard before. Let's try it out.
Yeah.
It's like,
And also, we're swapping blood later.
But we've had a very like primal attraction, as she and I have discussed, where it's just, and a lot of that is just brand new, where it's just like you're kind of just fucking puppies, just like biting each other's necks and rutting.
True.
And
They two are adorable. You two are cutie pies.
Thank you.
I know that in your jokes and stuff like that, you're mainly I can't say that word, but you're in terms of like you haven't been in a relationship. I don't know if I've asked you this. When's your last relationship?
Have you been in one?
Yeah, you still have to this day
Have you
have
ever
not.
had like just a strong crush that didn't work out? Like where were you hurt? Because there's something that's got to be a little bit
I'm
of an
very like,
aversion.
socially awkward. Like I'm very
Right.
socially awkward.
Well, I can understand.
I don't know. Like, and plus, like, it's not on my mind all the time.
Sure.
Okay, so you might just have a little bit of low libido because that's the thing. Some people are socially awkward. It's just they want to get it so much that they fucking risk it.
Sure.
Yeah, I try. I don't succeed.
Wow. Shit.
I like it. No, we're looking at
It's
more.
like,
It's would you say that you
like,
you're sexually like type A in terms of, or more in terms of
A?
so like not type A. How do they say it? So you have people that their sex drive isn't really ramped up. They might be asexual, is what I wanted to say. But that doesn't. It doesn't. There's. I think there's a spectrum in that of just. I think it has to do with sexuality and identity, and then also sex drive in that. So I don't know. Do you feel like you have like a low or sex drive, or are you jerking every day, dude?
Jerking.
You're jerking every day.
Yeah.
He's got a high sex drive, but you're just fucking focused.
No,
Right. Well, I can give an example. I have a couple that I'm friends with where they have an open marriage, which, by the way, is wrong and never works out.
So stupid. That sounds so fucking dumb.
But the
Aaron, you've only ever hooked up with people. Why the fuck would you hate it?
But it's true.
Yes,
Yeah,
me,
it's
once
like,
too
it's
many.
just like, how do you have that much focus on two people? See, that's. Like,
I see where you're coming
no,
from.
but it's
Right.
like how emotionally attached are you to either one? I don't believe you can be fully.
Oh yeah, well, honestly, my belief in this is honestly like if you have that little jealousy, you must not give a fuck to begin with. But the reason I brought up that specific couple, yes, Neil's nodding voraciously in agreement.
No, I'm not.
The reason I brought that up in particular is when I was talking to the girl, she explained part of her thing is she says, honestly, like I love him and I want to build a life with him, but I just don't have that high of a sex drive and I want him to. Oh, so okay, I can understand if you are not even particularly into sex, not really being jealous about sex. And you met these people, remember? We met the guy. The guy's girlfriend was just milling about and at this party. Sure. And again, it was a weird like, yeah, we're coming having a barbecue. It's I almost said their names, but like their extra girlfriend and extra boyfriend were just milling around the party.
Right.
And the girlfriend was just the wettest of blankets and just.
Yeah. Well, I see. I know you say like how much do you care about the person. I think it is even if I'll give it to you. Maybe in some ways it is categorized in maybe their brains and in their heads and their thought process maybe as that person means something to them and is special to them, but also sex can be devoid of, of let's say intimate like love in those ways. So I think you can do that. I know it's different for you, which I get, and that's the whole point. You don't have to do it. I know you get to also have an opinion where you think it's stupid, but I also am someone who doesn't practice that, so I can see it. You know what I mean? I can kind of understand it at an intellectual level, but
yeah, I mean, I'd rather have a relationship over random hookups.
Gotcha.
Like, almost like I think that's. I feel like it's just so much wasted energy.
But you've been like a side fucker. You've been like a side dude most of the time.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. Are you doing any dating sites or anything like that?
Bumble's pretty cool.
Bumble?
Yeah, like
Okay,
Bumble.
cool.
Yeah, Bumble's
But I
cool.
mean, you're focused and stuff, so yeah, you're pretty focused
Bumble
doing
is
comedy.
absolutely the perfect one for you, where it's just like, hey, you come to me and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, how many days?
I just feel like I don't know. I just saw like opposite ends of the spectrum as far as like relationships. Like my grandparents were like married forever, like 40 years.
Right.
Grandfather straight up told me it's just like I'd never be attracted to money or beauty. Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
And
Just because you're hot, like it doesn't mean like what the fuck I should just bend over backwards for you just because you're hot.
Right.
Like what do you have?
Yeah.
To
And your
offer?
parents had you at a carnival inside of a porta potty.
No, but like
Might get your
I
wires
feel like
switching.
they were. I mean, they were.
Our
like,
son will get head in one of these.
I mean, they
one
were
day.
like dating for a while, but they just, I guess.
I get you.
she
I'm
didn't-
not.
My mom didn't want to get married, but it's just.
My parents
like,
were. Yeah.
And then like my dad, like I mean, I saw my dad marry people and get divorced, and then I saw my mom with other guys, so like, it didn't affect me like my mom, but it was just like, oh, I don't see I like so many different relationships, so many.
Yeah, you do
have.
have. I mean,
That's interesting. I'm just like, why? Like,
Right.
it's just like, and then everything that goes along with that, moving, different stepmoms, trying to get closer to them, and do you develop relationships with them and all that? It's, I never really saw it as developing relationships.
We actually stepped over it a little bit, but what is your relationship with like your mother, your father, or even your grandparents? What was like the personal relationship you had with them?
Like growing up, so like I said, my grandparents raised me. More so when I was younger, I would alternate weekends between my mom and my dad. But as I got older, once I moved up to Bucks County, my dad stayed in Philly, my mom stayed in Philly, and then I was mostly. I mean, I was.
So
I was more with
your grandparents.
I was more with
Bucks
my
County.
grandparents more than anything. But like, no, I moved up them to with my grandparents. My dad was, because he's a cop, he had to like stay in the city
obviously.
at the time period. Yeah, so we moved up there, and then we were there for a while. And as their health kind of got worse, he moved up there. Now my mom moved from, like, it was kind of cool. Like where I lived in South Philly, it was like 19th and Bainbridge.
Yeah.
She would live around a corner to like Montrose Street, and like that area is gentrified as fuck now. But it was just like she moved over to Montrose. Well, she was like on Montrose Street, so it would be like right around the corner when I would go to my mom's. She moved to the northeast, but I mean, like you said, she was like independent. She was working a lot though. She had so many different jobs. So I had one of her, my Uncle Barry, he was like a family friend of my mom's because she like worked on Temple, I think doing the security on campus, and he worked on Temple as well. So he was like a family friend. He would always watch me. Well, he would watch me and my brother on weekends when she would have to go to work. So I would typically stay with her from either Friday night to Sunday evening or afternoon, or Saturday to Sunday evening or afternoon. But as I got older, I would mostly stay with my grandparents because I was going to these different areas for soccer, and they were the ones mostly taking me.
Was there any feelings when you were younger in terms of all the jumping around? Did you hold any animosity?
No, it's not any
You're just going with the
whatsoever.
flow.
Because I mean, I had a good childhood. My grandparents like took care of me. Like I said, they literally retired from their jobs to raise me. Like
Wow.
like I said, my grandfather turned in his badge. He was a detective. My
Give me your badge and your
like-
gun.
Go
like
raise your
my-
grandson.
Yeah, like my grandmother, retired as a teacher. She was a teacher in the Philadelphia school district. And then they raised me. Like, I'm not going to let him
Dude,
just like,
did
kind
they-
of fall
That's
through the cracks.
I'm wondering if they were
They-
strict.
Or,
Yeah,
or,
maybe
or
it was
did
old
they
school-
spoil
old
you at the
school,
same
yeah.
time?
I got spoiled, but I was strict. But then I also
Okay.
worked hard too, based on
Sure, they instilled that in you.
Instilled that. I mean, like they grew up, and the children should be seen and not heard generation. So it's like
Right.
anything back talk was considered disrespect. Yeah, like I hit this kid like belts. I got extension cords, but it wasn't abuse.
Sure.
But it was like a lot of times they were
amping their game up.
things that I was discouraged. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I don't ever, it was never, yeah, I think I definitely earned it. Like, I mean, I definitely
you
earned
did,
it
dude.
because, like,
Hey, that's
there
one of
were-
those
I mean,
where
there
you're
were
like
sometimes-
rubbing your ass afterwards. Like, yeah, I kind of had that one coming.
yeah, but it's just like, I mean, I got beat. It's like I hit by my grandmother. my grandfather, my dad, sometimes my mom, but like my mom was like the least out of all of them. Mostly
Right.
my grandfather and my grandmother, then my dad. But it was never abuse. It was just discipline. And a lot of times I did deserve it. It's like, you're fucking up in school, you're getting in trouble, definitely deserve it. Like, literally, there was times where like I was bad as a kid, and the teacher had to call, like the teacher called him in, and that's like the worst thing you could do as like a black parent, because like we had to fucking
Taking off work.
He has a fucking good ass job. Has to come in from work because my grandmother was, I guess, out running errands. He has to come in and deal with my ass.
There's a pimp who just killed a
it's just
hooker.
like-
God damn it. And she's dead on the fucking ground. And I'm coming in here for this shit.
Your dad's just looking at
like,
a chalk,
you don't wanna this is
looking
the
at a chalk outline and just a note that says like, "I'll kill again in 6 hours." And, Larry, you got to pick up your kid.
Yeah.
God damn it.
No, but it's like the last thing he wanted to do is be called
Right,
in.
of
So
course.
it's just like
You win
that.
again, 19th Street
But
Strangler.
I mean, but naturally, as I got older, I didn't get hit more. But it was just like my
Beat you with his
grandpa-
badge.
Okay, so what did you do that was so bad? And while you're at this, I want you to think, what was the worst thing you've ever done?
I don't honestly. I really don't know what the worst thing I've ever done. There was like a lot of beatings. It was most not. I don't want to say beating. It just
I
sounds
get you.
bad.
Well, I always say, because I used to talk about this
It was
younger.
ass kicking.
Yeah,
It's
when
like
you're-
you deserved that. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
like-
called them pops because I never got formally beat a lot. Like in terms of go get something.
You called a pop.
I got popped. It'd be at the table like bam, like just and it'd be done. It'd just be
Right.
over.
Just like you
Like,
said before, there was no ceremony to it. It was just
yeah,
bam.
just bam, just shut the hell up. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
This is like belt.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
this
got a
is
couple.
like this is like this is drawn out.
Yeah, I got a couple. I got a couple, spoons and metal spoons and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think I
No,
might
my
have got a
dad,
belt.
my dad only hit me once, and I absolutely deserved it.
Shoes.
Because he told me, "Don't bring the grape juice onto the new white carpet." And I had a lot of confidence in my 8-year-old dexterity, and I deserved
Keep
it.
him at it. He's just fucking just holding it and shaking it over top. Come on, baby, we got this. Come on, dexterity is a fucking 8-year-old.
The power of mental control.
Poor Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Jesse, baby.
What? All right. Well, what's the worst thing you've ever done then? Or the worst thing that ever happened to you? I mean, sorry, I asked that.
I'm also surprised that he hasn't had like a weird breakup where he met a girl who's really infatuated with him while he's thinking, and then he was like, "Nah," you know what I mean? He was like,
Right.
"No, I don't wanna," and just like break her heart. I'm surprised because I mean you're a cool dude, but in terms of meeting people and hanging out with people and having some interactions at college and stuff, I'm surprised someone was like, "I want to date you," and you're like, "Get out of here!" So you heard me. Get. You know what I mean? Like you're kicking away like Harry and the Hendersons.
And then you slowly
Nobody
like,
wants you.
yeah, and then you like slowly like wipe the tear down. I was like,
Right,
this
right,
hurt me
right.
more than it hurt you.
Goodbye, friend.
You know what I mean? Just surprised in that, and meeting. But I'm guessing he probably kept it super casual and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know. The worst thing I've ever done.
Well, it sounds.
Shit! I had to eat a blunt to stay out of trouble. I had some crazy. I had some funny stories in college. So this is one, and I've like acid trip. It was crazy, but like I had to eat a blunt.
Oh,
I'm not gonna go. Oh yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I ate a blunt.
I mean that's.
Yeah, no.
Listen, I mean, out of the worst things.
No, because
legalized
like,
now. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just like. Yeah, I had to eat a
So
blunt.
cops are on their way or something, or they're like
Yeah.
behind you, and you're like.
Yeah. So like me and my friend, we went to a concert, and it was in Atlantic City, and he lives in South Jersey. So his
Gotcha.
mom decided.
Ugh.
Yeah. So his mom decided to drive just for whatever
Jersey
reason.
and
even,
weed.
Yeah. Even though we were like 21, I guess she was. I don't know. She was maybe worried about the thing of drinking and driving. Whatever. She just drove us. She stayed there in like some other part of like Atlantic City, just gambling or something. And like I don't know. It was a Mac Miller concert actually.
What age?
Rest
How
in
old
peace.
were you?
It's like 21.
Oh, but yeah, it's still in Jersey, so you're worried. So you guys were going to this concert?
Yeah. And then we just came. Yeah, we got back home.
Surprised anyone in Atlantic City cared.
And then we're driving.
Atlantic City's a shit show.
Yeah, so we're driving,
Okay.
smoking a blunt, and then driving, smoking a
Black
blunt.
while driving with weed in the car.
Yeah, with a white friend.
Oh,
so-
wait, you should have given it to him.
Okay, so there's a.
No, but it's just, it wasn't my car. So we're driving, and then smoke a blunt, finish it. Instead of tossing it out the window, toss it in like it was like a water bottle like this right here. It was just like the roach, and then cop car goes like perpendicular to us, and it kind of freaks us out for a second.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Yo, man, what should we do?" So I'm kind of like, "Oh fuck," and then my friend's like, "Yo, spark another." So we like, so we're about to spark it, and I looked over at him and said, "Yo, in case we ever get pulled over, I'll eat the blunt." So we're driving for like 30 more seconds. My friend's
Right.
like, "Yo, is that a cop car in the back?
Right.
Is that a cop car in the back?" I was like, "No, that's not a cop car." And I was just like, "Yeah, lights come on." He's like, "Oh, dude, he's like, you gotta eat the." He's like, "You gotta eat the blunt. You gotta eat the blunt." I'm like, "No, dude, I don't want to eat the blunt. No, you gotta eat it." I'm like, "Fuck." And I just like put it in my mouth. Yeah, I put it in my mouth, and then it was just like the cop. They can come in through like the passenger side too, and he's just like talking to my friend. And then, like, I have it in my mouth at this time. I'm not really moving at all because it's just, like, right there. And you probably see me if I'm just, like, chewing. It's, like,
right.
He goes back. My friend's like, dude, you got to finish it. Finish it. And
I thought you cartoon style just opened wide and just slid it down.
So they look in and they immediately just find the roach.
Fuck.
So it's just like, okay, that's it. But they searched, like, the rest of the car. And it was kind of funny. My friend just had, like, shoe boxes. And the cops got, like, all excited and everything. They're like, yeah, like what's in here? What's in here? They thought I guess like my friend's like shoes, and then they.
You think I would keep shoe boxes full of weed?
Yeah, the guy was like, yeah, it smelled like it was like a fucking pound in here. I was like, dude, it's just like 2 fucking blunts.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do? Did you?
Don't say 2. Don't say 2. Say 1.
Yeah,
Don't say 2.
Did you toss it?
Yeah.
It's just like but it's just. Yeah, I ate a blunt.
Oh, I'm glad you got away with it. Did he just let you off with a citation or?
I think my friend had to do some stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
Like
All right, so some community stuff.
Yeah, and
That's not okay. That's good. I'm glad you didn't get in trouble. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was just me. Like, yeah, we gotta do it.
It's fucking powerhouse, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, while we're talking on the worst thing that's ever happened to us, I pulled up a video I found earlier today. That would be the camping at the end of the world. So, do you guys remember the doomsday prophecy of May 21st, 2011?
Was it the thing over their sheets, the purple people?
No. You're thinking of Heaven's Gate. The Hailbot people. No, this one, that was in like more the 90s. No, this was 2011 where this guy, Harold Camping from a family radio Christian thing, pretty much used terrible, stupid biblical math to predict when the end of the world was going to be. And he picked out May 21st, 2011. There were billboards everywhere. It generated a $100 million advertising campaign.
Jesus.
And obviously, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
They're camping at the end of the world. So
Yeah.
what is?
So this particular video, this is a video that is mockingly like a documentary, but this man we're looking at right here spent all of his money. Like, he wasn't even affiliated with him. He just really believed the end times were coming.
Right.
So what we're going to see in the next minute and a half of this is he spent all his money because he was ready for the end of the world. And the very end of the video, because the prediction was 6 o'clock. It was 6 o'clock on May 21st, 2011. The world was going to end, and he went to the middle of Times Square with a bunch of people making fun of him, like, you'll see in a few minutes. And just the look on his face when it hit 6:01, 6:02, 6:03, and nothing.
Oh no, just devastated.
All right.
Yeah,
So
why do
I
people
hope we're not
just
going to get
exist?
pulled for this.
I don't think we are, but we'll see. As long as we talk over it a fair amount, it's only like a minute.
All right, so we got this guy, accountant, I guess.
Robert Fitzpatrick, 60.
Neil messed up.
He looks like he could risk.
Sorry,
doing
I'm
something
going to
like
bring this
and be
into
fine.
our old
financially
headphones
fine.
here, everybody. I
He
apologize.
looks like a guy who's spent his money poorly.
for the
Yeah.
prop.
Maybe-
You think so?
No, I don't think so. I don't get that vibe, but I feel like he's someone that could just definitely risk it. Like he could
Maybe.
risk doing
Yeah.
some shit like this.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Former government
This is
employee.
a hobby.
I had plans after I retired, but I put them all aside. I feel as if I've been drafted.
He took
Yeah, this
almost
is,
all of his life savings,
Oh,
$140,000.
Stop it.
All right,
To have
140 grand.
3,000 posters put up in New York City subways and bus stops.
I'm not
No.
going to tell them down to my last penny, but, you know, it's a good chunk of
I
what
really love this
I'd
sweater.
saved up, sure.
Does it matter if
Sweater
you're down
is
to your
perfect.
last penny, if the doomsday is coming?
No, it doesn't.
And he's not the only one.
Jesus.
According to the LA Times,
No.
the Bauer family hopped in their minivan and drove across the country
Not
to see all
more.
of the big landmarks before it was
shit.
too late.
It's kind of hard to feel bad.
Thousands
for
Wait,
these
of
so he
people.
dollars
brought
in
people
credit
with
card
him to do
debt.
this?
Pause this for a sec. No, this was such a big thing nationally that a lot of people really believe that people were actually getting in on the shit. There were people who were offering pet care insurance if you were to be raptured, so that somebody will, while you are off in paradise, us here left to battle the Antichrist will make sure Fido gets his food.
How often did he read Revelations? Because that's
It's-
supposed to be like the book. Apparently,
well,
the end of times.
So here was as much as I followed the math until it all fell apart. So he used the dates. Jesus died on April 11th, 33 AD. So I think he used 1133 minus 2011 equals 1,978 years times 365, and it starts at such a faulty premise. But, by the way, what ends up happening is obviously the world doesn't end, and he backs it up to October 21st, and then that doesn't happen, and then the guy died like 3 weeks later.
Here's I'm pretty sure what's gonna happen. Anytime anyone makes the progress with like the at least that I hope happens for Doomsday, or Armageddon, is they set the date, and then it it passes. And then maybe like 20 minutes later, it actually happens.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want it to be. I want it to be like, and then it was like, oh, fuck, we fucked up real bad. And then it just starts. Like it's just a little delayed. No big deal. It's like a comedy show. It's 15 minutes late.
That's right. Nothing starts on time.
Nothing starts on time. Did you want to watch? Is there a point where he is crushed?
If we
I want to watch a man be crushed.
keep playing, I think it starts at like 15
Was this
minutes.
the first or second time Jesus died? Did Jesus actually die after being resurrected or not?
No. No. Oh, you don't even know this?
I
stopped paying attention.
He was assumed.
Died and he came back. The end. No, he wandered 40 days and talked with his guys. They don't really get into what he did in those 40 days, but at the end he ascended bodily into heaven.
Yes,
like fucking tractor beam.
Forever,
See you guys.
So in canon,
Like literally the end of Grease. Like just up in a car into heaven while everybody else does the hand jive in the background.
So in terms of this has always blown my mind because if you did Catholic school as well or any stuff like that,
Christian, so I got but I would go like on and off really. Like, a lot of different churches.
you can really see the. It's fine. He'll get it. It's all right. I can turn him up too, dude. But you can really see there is a weird thing with Mary as well because Mary is also has an assumption into heaven.
Right, is brought like never died.
It clearly has to do with doctrine and man trying to be like. But that's weird because Mary's never actually seen before that in the Bible as having any saintlyhood. But they say because she was touched by God in terms of Jesus, then she's accepted. Blah blah blah.
Touchdown there.
Yeah. Oh god. So she was only like 14.
That's
it's
right.
a little bit of a problem. So those are the two who were ever actually had assumptions into heaven. I think it's all written by man, obviously, but they were like, we got to make sure she's like a deity. We have to make she's almost assumed as a deity, which is very forced. There's no presence for it for it. It doesn't need to be there.
It kind of flies in the face of this being, Catholicism as a monotheistic, where we have God, but Jesus, and also Mary, and also the saints, and just
it comes from the times of tithing and also whatever they called the favors. I can't remember the actually
indulgences.
Indulgences. Thank you. Yeah,
I actually had quite a big fear of like the end of the world growing up.
Did you?
Well, I think it was just a mix of like disaster movies, but also like just going to the grocery store and I didn't know the difference between a tabloid and a newspaper saying the world's ending in 6 months. I'm like, but I'm 9. That's before WrestleMania. I gotta see The Undertaker beat Shawn Michaels.
I want that to be your voice as a child.
I had a very raspy voice as a little boy. So no, this Doomsday stuff, I remember this and the Mayan Doomsday. There were points where I had full-out panic attacks. Like, oh my God, what if it ends? I'm in my 20s at this point. Like, it wasn't good.
I didn't even buy into the Y2K thing. I thought at the very least we're gonna have like some economic issue. Yeah, I thought I was like, oh shit, money is gonna be bad. Like,
right.
That's what I thought maybe. Like that was about it. I didn't think like the world was ending, which is crazy.
I don't believe that.
No. Did you carry?
I was reading left. What do you say?
No. Go ahead. Please.
No.
I was wondering if you carried a lot of the belief throughout college and stuff like that, or what?
No, I mean it was just.
It's just.
I mean, I was. Like
did you go to church? I'm wondering if you went to church.
Yeah, we went to church like a decent amount of my childhood, but it would be like on and off.
What sect?
We were Baptist, but we were also at times we were at Pentecostal churches as well.
Oh.
So we went to maybe like
what type of Pentecostal?
Different. I mean, there was mixed congregations, some black, some white, some Hispanics. Africans.
No, what was the word before Pentecostal? What was that?
Baptist, but like there
I know that.
You used a specific
You said
term.
something. You said Baptist, but we also went to a Pentecostal type of church. I'm wondering what type of Pentecostal.
I just said like mixed, just because. There were some congregations where it was like more white people, but there's other congregations where it was like white, black, Hispanic.
Sure.
Pentecostal. I just noticed some more casual, really.
Yeah. Jeff Roser, friend of the podcast, grew up Pentecostal.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Baptist,
It was tough.
Yeah, I mean Baptist is more dressed up. Like I said, your typical. It is like black church as well.
Sure.
What every
Some are
white,
more-
what every
but
white
some
person
are
thinks.
better than others. But like it was just like it's like naturally with anything. Like I feel like my grandparents kind of took me more when they were younger. When I was younger, they were active in the church. Like, and then as I got older,
Right.
I couldn't go because I was playing soccer and everything.
Sure.
And they were just tired. Like Sundays are day off. Let's just not
Right.
necessarily go to church. But then like my dad would kind of want to go to church. Different churches bring us along with them. But it was like
Gotcha.
from time period to time period. I just like to me it's just. I don't
You didn't
think
get
you
any
really
of the
need it. It's just
terror
like,
of it. I got a lot of terror.
I just got basic like morals from it. I mean, you always have that some sort of one aspect of religion, like maybe a small prayer saying you might say
Right.
to yourself. I'll say something like maybe if I'm nervous before something like Lord send me your Holy Spirit, but I don't
Right.
necessarily. I mean, it probably would help if I got back to at least praying, but I haven't prayed in like a while.
But you don't worry
But I don't
about
really
any
worry
like the
about-
hell aspect, or
Honestly, when I'm high, I do. But like, I
I'm
don't
gonna go to hell
really-
for weed. Oh no.
Yeah, but like, I don't really think about it normally from day to
Yeah.
day. You don't think about when you're gonna die all the time. You just
Good
think,
for
but like,
you.
No,
Speak
but I
for
do. I
yourself.
have like subtle anxiety, but anxiety to the point where like I don't freak out. But like,
It's just
not,
large.
not like diagnosing anxiety, but it's like
Yeah,
you feel
yeah.
when you're worried about shit all the time.
Well, I
And
go
that's-
to Hitchhiker's Guide for the Galaxy. That's just large global existential crises that we all have.
Yeah,
it's
just like thinking
just
about everything.
the
like,
overall
yeah,
fear of
what are we
existence.
doing? Are we
Yeah.
stuck? What are we? So it's just
Huh.
like.
I like
I
I
don't
like
know.
a lot of. I just
just
did.
chill.
Was there a good community at least around it? Did you like? Was there
I
any?
mean, it was a good community.
Because I know a lot of times with Catholics,
Like-
it's not the community is not as there is
I mean-
now. Catholic churches are doing better, but a lot of like I think Baptists and like Methodists and stuff, they it felt much more of a community where you went and that was like friends that you developed and families and stuff that you developed.
we never had church friends at my church, and
Yeah.
we went every week. So.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember I did like a youth group. My dad made me join.
Okay.
When I was like
Yeah.
17. It was like a Pentecostal church, and it was just like these kids were way more into learning about God
Right.
than like I
Sure.
was. Just like I'm just chilling there. I felt like awkward, so I always just like stand off to the side. It's just like they were all joyous about everything. And then it was,
Dude,
like,
you were the Jesus
yeah.
of that group.
Yeah, but, like,
you're
no,
just
but,
all
like,
the side
just chill.
cash. Just
Like,
like, I
did we-
don't know, man.
dude,
Whatever.
we,
dude.
like-
God's in all of us. So
So we took a class on abstinence and everything. Like, there was, like,
yeah.
and it's just like I'd sit through this, and you saw like girls cry. Like just one girl was just crying, like, "Oh, she's the slut."
yeah, Aaron, go ahead. What do you have? Head in porta potties? Is that bad, or do we not do it, or what? Is that not okay? Not supposed to do that. I understand. Not supposed to do it.
I figured like dirty
No,
thing
that
and
was-
a dirty
that was
place
after.
I
cancel
know,
each
I
other
do.
out.
I'm fucking around. But that's it. We all had to do those. You had those, right?
We
You didn't have any
had
abstinence training?
we didn't really do abstinence. Our church didn't really.
you went-
They didn't get into the CCD. I wasn't in Catholic school. I was in public school.
Oh, you were in public. So
Yeah.
they just did the old devilish safe sex thing.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Condoms. Well, they told me the worst thing of all, which was condoms, because condoms suck.
Yeah. Okay.
If anything, the church was fine. It's like, listen, start out having sex with condoms. About a good year in, I think you got enough control over your shit. You can pull out. Pull out mostly works.
But like I feel like I got into everything at the right time. Like, as opposed to like I said, I had strict upbringing, so I could really drink and really smoke. Didn't even try to think about doing that. I was kind of like honestly like against that in high school, but I feel like I was more smart in my college years compared to smart in my high school years if I would have done that on a regular basis. And I feel like it's good to have that sort of structure in a way. Like I feel like you shouldn't be like honestly, I mean
I used to manage my team with spread.
there is good.
Sure.
I mean, there are
Everybody.
some fun experiences to have, but like if I had a kid, I wouldn't want my kid drinking in high school.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah, nah, there's a little,
I would like them to have fun. I want them to enjoy being in high school, do weird
Right.
things, hang out with different kids. Like,
I had a weird experience with this because my brother's like 10 years younger than me, and he got, like, it was getting known that he was like dealing weed in high school.
Yeah.
And the speech I gave him is like, all right, Luke, here's what I want you to do. Like, obviously you're going to smoke some weed. Obviously you're going to drink. Here's the thing. Just have enough courtesy to me and mom to be sneaky about it. Because I can't, like, give you permission to do this, but if you're being sneaky, you're being careful. And that's what's important about it. Like, everybody's going out and do this. So it's just, no, you're not absolutely allowed to do it, but we're not going to be pissed if you, like, you need to have a little bit of that, like, I need to look after you, and you need to treat me with that little bit of respect. And this way we know everybody's, like, looking after things, I guess.
Yeah.
And then he almost got arrested for dealing weed out of the house, and it was the last time I struck a human being. I slapped my little brother in the face, and he got so mad at me. He went on Facebook, and I felt really guilty. And then he typed out on Facebook, "My brother is dead to me." I'm like, okay, I don't feel as bad now. Good. He's having a very appropriate teenage reaction he should be having.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice.
So if we want to watch his gentleman's life fall apart, it's at 15:35, I believe, is when he
self-destructs.
goes to Times Square and gives it a. So let's get this last little bit here.
It's not what Mr. Fitzpatrick did. A confident Fitzpatrick marched into the middle of Times Square amongst a crowd of mocking bystanders, ready to prove everyone wrong.
He thought he was going to show them all.
In 3 minutes. If it does not happen, what will that mean?
I wouldn't entertain that question.
You're confident.
What I read in the Bible.
Here it comes.
Wait, hold on.
What?
It'd be funny if there's a group of black Israelites just yelling at him. Mocking him after.
Oh, God.
Just coming.
Nothing happened.
Oh, no.
In 6:01.
He's looking at his watch. Befuddled.
6:02.
It's like, fuck.
By
God.
6:03, Fitzpatrick's convictions turned to confusion.
Don't
Sorry
do
for
that, guys. Stop it. Stop doing the horns, you dicks.
Before I left, I didn't expect to be going back home. But it looks
This
like I
nigga
will be
wanted
going
to
back.
die. Like,
But
he
look,
wanted to fucking
just so
die.
we're clear,
So we're
all
that's
still
Jeez.
alive.
He wanted to die. That's
Yeah.
all. He didn't. He said,
I wanna know
did
what he
the
did after
dishes.
that.
He's like, I wanted to leave a clean house to make sure people knew I was okay.
Actually, all right, there's one last little clip in here. If you can go to 1849, the guy showed up on TV a few days later. The main guy who was doing all this, 1849.
I'm going there, but it's just not buffering. Here we go.
And he took some callers, and the callers were not happy, to say the least.
All right.
So this is 4 days after everybody was expecting, like, if you're expecting to go on a vacation for a weekend, let alone an eternity, and then you just don't.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Okay. Let's hear
All
this.
right, so let's roll this a little bit.
You've got it this time.
On Tuesday, he opened the phones on his radio show, and it was the first time that his show was ever exciting to watch.
Why didn't the rapture happen on May 21st? Don't cut me off yet. And why do you believe so much on it's going to happen another 5 months? You're really pathetic. You know, I wasted all my money, and I sent it to you. And I don't have nothing. I was putting my hopes in you. You understand? I wish I could see you face to face. I'd smack you right in the...
Yeah, dude.
He did not look that bad physically before.
Calling names doesn't help anything.
After that, viewership steadily declined.
Yeah, so
that's the most zen response you can get in that situation for what he's going through.
It's just like, you fucking... I blew my entire inheritance or whatever, all my shit.
Yeah.
Like, I should be fucking very irritated
like
at you.
there are grandkids not going to college because of this fucking guy.
Yeah. Well, also, use critical thinking skills, people. I mean, I'm not saying they, deserve it, obviously, but like, you gotta just use some critical thinking skills, please.
Yo, have you guys seen Last Chance U on Netflix?
I've seen. I think I saw. Didn't that start initially as a 30 for 30?
No, it was. Like
I know I've seen one of them, but I think
it might have been on regular TV, then moved to Netflix. But I think a lot of it's been on Netflix. But
okay, I think there was like an initial special that started it off. I think I saw that, but I didn't see like the show itself.
Oh. Well, like the first 2 seasons was like East Mississippi Community College, and they were like an established power. But like season 3 and 4 was this school from Kansas that got this white coach from Compton, and he turned them into he's like the first season they didn't like show, but like the first actual year he was there. But
real quick, for the people who haven't seen this, Last Chance U, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it is high school or college athletes.
Oh, junior college football.
Okay, yeah, junior college athletes. These are the kids who have fucked up. They've gotten arrested, and this is like
or transferred too. They
right.
transferred, had some sort of academic issues, things like that. So it's like literally their last chance to get recruited, to get a scholarship to go D1.
Right.
So it's like those type of kids, and you have this coach from Compton, a white coach from Compton that played JUCO football itself, real old school, just like fucking ripping into these kids and just being himself on camera. It's like the best thing. It shows him like drinking, smoking.
I heard one of these coaches got like fired after the show for like racist tweets.
He got fired. No, so he got he did an interview with Jason Whitlock and like there's so many things they don't show on the show.
Yeah,
he talks about all that different stuff and like the reason the thing behind him getting fired. And it was like it wasn't the first time. It's like the kid even referred to his own self as that. It's just after the kid got kicked off the team, I sent it through text messages and I showed it to the school. And I'm a German. It was a German exchange student,
right?
That would like wanted to be like a recruit on the football team,
right? And didn't the coach like keep calling him a Nazi or something?
He literally called, "I'm your Hitler."
Yeah.
I'm saying, "I'm your Hitler." Fuck.
So I pulled it up. I pulled it up for
but
you.
Like, dude, no, but he talked about it with Jason Whitlock, and he's just like the kid was going around school referring to himself as that, and they showed him joking with the kid
referring to himself as Hitler.
Yeah, he was like he was just
a German kid who just was fucking around.
Just like and then like the coach, like they showed him like refer to him as that. But they were
I'll bring it up
around.
for the people. So there's the coach, I guess, there, and it refers to it. But he
referred to himself as your new Hitler figure. That is in quotes.
But
But he explained on an interview that came after the kid got he got in trouble and he was like, I have to kick you off the team. He fired like 10 coaches, kicked off 30 plus kids on the team. Because they finished 2-8, they were expected to go well, and it's just like I have such a culture issue going on here. I have to get rid of these coaches. These coaches aren't doing these dorm checks. These kids are out smoking weed, getting in trouble. Like I said, like I know it's junior college. Don't smoke weed. If you come in here and smell like weed, or you get in trouble, you're getting kicked off the team.
Right,
kicked him off the team. He was going through all these things, and I guess this kid was like just a scout team kid or whatever. And I guess he got in trouble, and it's just like whatever. I'm kicking you off the team, and then that's when he got pissed apparently, and he was talking to Jason Whitlock on the interview. He just went around school saying like saying cursing in German and saying different things about the coach or whatever. Coach heard about it and like sent to him that shit, and he just like I think I regret sending the text messages more than anything. It looks bad there, but that's really it. But like he got, I guess they bought him out, and he's like, I force you to resign. They forced him to resign, but like.
But
the thing about the kid was even referring to himself. He's like, this kid was referring to himself as that before. Like no one in the show shows that. And he also said like, there was a lot of other distractions with the team.
I mean, it takes a lot of context to get around "I'm your Hitler."
Yeah. So here's the actual quote here in terms of the text. It was from Germany. The following: it's 10:40 p.m. on the field. You German fuck.
We're assuming ports. Fuck. It doesn't have the right amount of dashes.
Dash. You have 17 ports towards your 25 points. You got an extra point for not hanging the lion poster as instructed. I'm your new Hitler figure out your life. I don't know what the fuck.
It should be I'm your new Hitler, figure out your life.
Oh, yeah. Hitler, figure out your life.
Adolf Hitler, motivational speaker.
Sorry, there was no punctuation.
Do you have trouble getting up and started in the morning? A fresh shower, perhaps, will get you going.
Imagine if Hitler coached a football team. I feel like he'd actually be calm compared to a lot of football coaches. He'd be so calm. It's just like, one good riff for 30 seconds and we're off. Like, God, that's really
I would
what
love
it
to
is.
see the coaches across like season who's much worse than him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're playing, and it's like, geez, the coach is like really angry at this player. It's really upset. You guys, I don't do that. I mean, that's crazy.
I could see Hitler in a fedora, like really, like Tom Landry trying to
smoking a pipe same time.
Something like that.
Come on, Dawkins, get downfield. Let's go, man. Let's do this.
I think the best
Blitz.
I think the best picture from like old school football was that it was like the first Super Bowl, the Kansas City quarterback or something was like smoking a cigarette at halftime. Have you seen that picture before?
No,
It's like
I've never seen it.
I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but he's like smoking a cig at halftime.
I
think it's Kansas City.
Baseball only going back to like the 70s. They were still getting fucking drunk in the fucking.
That's the sport you should be allowed to do it.
Yes,
it's like hanging out with the boys. That's really what it is. I hate baseball, but I feel like I would love to hang out with the boys.
Yeah.
Well, I have. You know what? I have seen this picture. Just I didn't know what it was in reference to.
Nice.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah. It's just like, oh, dude, I really need one right now, dude.
Let's see, a more recent one. There is numerous fan footage of WWE wrestler Randy Orton coming up, like arriving to the arena for the first time of the day and popping out and talking to the fans and just like bumming cigarettes.
Yeah.
Which for how like cardiovascular that fucking sport is, the fact that all those, if you look at some of those old wrestlers from the 70s and they are just like, they're built like Midwestern dads, and they're just out there fucking hucking
Throwing
shit.
their bodies around.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Harley Race. He died this week. All right, well, we're going to get into death real quick.
Let's talk about death.
Do you have any music or songs or any kind of art that makes you very... Because you seem like a very, like, kind of... You're an even-keeled emotional wave. Is there anything that pierces through and brings you to tears?
I feel like pierces through, brings me to tears. Right? I don't know.
I guess some... Like,
I have to be in a moment to feel something. It might, like, oh, damn, that's deep. That can hit me, but it's not like something I could think of right away that would get me to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there any, or not even cry? But, well, let's say, is there any like music? I think music, especially a lot of times. Is there any music you're listening to that you think is deep in that way, or is it mostly like upbeat kind of stuff? Or?
I mean, honestly, not upbeat. A lot of it is chill. I have some like reggae rock, soja, but then I also have old like 2000s middle school music, both rap and rock. Okay. And then I have newer stuff. It's like a wide variety.
Kind of
that's my Spotify playlist. Yeah. Indie music.
There's not a movie that strikes you. You never cried at a movie.
I have a few different movies.
Yeah,
I like all the American Pie series. I love all of it.
Cry. But those
it's not crying.
No, not even crying. But I'm wondering if at the end of like,
I never cried. I like movies though. Like, well, thank you for.
I don't. Why are you crying if you're
even younger? You first saw like Lion King? Nothing. That's like
dude. Honestly, I feel like it's crazy. I don't think I've seen a Lion King in its entirety.
That makes sense.
I don't think I can. I
get you. I get you. No, okay.
If you haven't seen it in your entirety, you don't really getting invested in it too much.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Too even keeled, dude. He can't be broken, dude. Can't break him.
Wild
He's
Hearts
out there.
can't be broken. Yeah. So typically we would have our depressive, suicidal black metal song of the week.
Sure.
But I have a song. I've heard this before, but it only recently hit me very emotionally. This is a Tom Waits song called Georgia Lee. Now this is about the real life murder of Georgia Lee Moses in Petaluma, California, 1992. 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, I like this shit. It's cool.
Yeah.
Crime shit.
12-year-old girl, old for her age. You see the photos, and she just looks like 18, 19. Was just found dead in this small California town. They never found it who. And Tom Waits was living there at the time, so he actually was like there for the community meetings. And he said a lot of it was just like, where were you? Like, what did you see? Et cetera, et cetera. And just like the sadness of a small town or a dead woman. So if we could play the very beginning, and I'll read some of the lyrics, and hopefully we won't get pulled here. Go to the very beginning. Go to the very beginning. I'm going to try to get over the instrumental. So it's... Cold was the night and hard was the ground. They found her in a small grove of trees, and lonesome was the place where Georgia was found. She's too young to be out on the street. Yeah. And if we could go forward about 10 seconds, if we could just get to the chorus. This is what kills me. Sorry, we didn't plan this out right.
Is this the chorus?
No, it's coming up right now. But
we're gonna get pulled.
Yeah, well, no, we're talking over it, so it might. Right. Why wasn't God watching? Why wasn't God listening?
Jesus.
Why wasn't God there?
This definitely sounds like the type of song for the crime that happened.
Yep.
It definitely seems gone too soon. Black girl, white girl?
Black girl. Also, I think that's like the memorial for the spot she was found. Yeah.
Oh, really?
But yeah, just that line, just why wasn't God watching? Why wasn't God listening? Why wasn't God there for Georgia Lee?
I've always said that.
So, what happened to her again? I'm sorry.
She was just found murdered. I assume strangled or stabbed. I actually missed that detail. But
that's crazy.
Very sad.
It's some of those like, when you just find, well, again, it's just a young girl. There doesn't seem and they didn't have any leads. It's just a young girl out in the woods.
Actually, talk for a sec. I'll see what detail I can get up real quick. Because I might be able to get it quick.
Well, I mean, that's how much crime stuff do you like a little bit of crime stuff?
I like a lot of crime stuff. I like more of the real stuff, but as a kid, when me and my grandparents would have dinner and everything, we would watch crime shows like Law and Order would be on typical.
Of course.
USA, TBS.
It's the drug of our parents.
Yeah, but like my grandfather told me, it's like, that stuff's not real.
Sure.
Yeah, of course, obviously. But like, we watched like, I like the First 48 a lot. I like, cops is okay, but I watched like a lot of the First 48. Law and Order. I'm trying to think about
those First 48, like ID Network and shit, like that's like the hardcore. It's the heroin of shows for the parents.
And then of course the different all the different shows that went on ID.
Yeah, dude. Well, my mom used to fall asleep. It used to blow my mind because she hated horror movies. But like all they do is blur the face out for like of victims. And she's watching like blood stains and stuff, and she's completely fine with it.
You know what shows I hated though is the real ones, but the ones where they show basically the outcome of the verdict by showing the guy who's a criminal, and the suspect are giving an interview from jail. So it's like they're giving an interview at the aftermath while they're still explaining the details of the story. So you're not left to wonder is he guilty, is he not? So.
Yeah, there's go ahead, buddy.
I looked it up. It was it was a strangling, but it was very much like she'd gone missing. She was running around with older guys, and that's why the aspect that he really looked into is like this was an entire community.
Jesus Christ,
failing this young girl.
Just like your hands are failing you.
Shut up.
Damn.
That's a fucking nightmare, dude. That's a nightmare. I like those. I like crime stuff too. I listen to a lot of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of in-depth stuff going on.
I was listening to the Jonestown last podcast on the left, which was you know all about Jonestown?
Yeah, with fucking Jim Jones,
and
the Guyana and all that.
Listening to the death tapes, like as the simple fact that like out of like 1,000 people down there, only 28 were because the congressman was coming down to investigate because people found out of the 1,000 people, only 28 left. He could have let those people leave and it would have been fine, but he was such a control freak. It's like, no, if they're gone, then this whole thing's a failure, and convince everyone. And you can hear on the thing, he's trying to tell women, like the few women that are freaking out, like, just put your babies down. It's better than if they find us like this. Hurry. And
who was saying that?
Jim Jones. It's the recording of him telling everybody to drink the Kool-Aid, the Flavor Aid, more accurately, and like and
the
people,
knockoff brand.
Exactly, yeah. And people are like interrupting their suicide to like get on the microphone and fucking toast them, and just down the hatch. Thanks, Dad. They all called him Dad, and just down and just ugh. And the fucking thing is, he says right in there, it's like, it's a quick death. They won't feel anything. But they said like, no, it took like for the little kids, it took them 20 minutes to die. Because it was like cyanide and shit.
That's right. Well, see, I was writing a little joke. It was like in terms of relationships and stuff. Because if you don't know I was like, I don't know how we think I'm gonna find like someone to be with forever, considering like the kind of dedication and trust. Because Jim Jones, while they killed over 900 people, had a helper, Carolyn Layton.
Oh, they always have.
Who was helping her, was really spearheading, was actually giving out the poison and directing, holding guns at points on people. I was like, and I'm supposed to find someone I'm supposed to live like. She killed 900 people for him.
Right.
Like, there's no way. How can I trust anybody? I think I'm gonna meet my soulmate that way. Like, what would you do for me? You know what I mean? Like, it blows my mind. But yeah, she was the one who was. You can hear in tapes and in parts of the tapes that you probably listened to, who's actually helped carrying out that. I'm just like, man, they must have had something special. They must have had
like the one dude, the documentary on Netflix about the Rajneeshi and like Oregon.
I've seen the
Osho dude, and he had like his main girl Sheila just running everything while he's back home. Not coming out for time.
Sure.
And then like the thing just escalated out of control, but she was the one running everything. You gotta have one.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, fucking other people, of course. But
saddest one, really, if you want to get a little starstruck, wonder if you know, maybe we get, because it comes into death, is City of God, Children of God cult. Sorry, the children. I think it's the children.
Children of God. Okay, that's where they got into like fucking kids and shit.
So of course it was heavily into that, and that was the leader. So
like raping.
So from
it was like normalizing sex from a very young age.
This guy out of the gate was spinning it in the fact that it's typical cult leadership from a male cult perspective of like distancing men from, if you come as a cult, like a couple, distancing the men from the women, saying that love is meant to be everyone apparently is supposed to be having sex, but really it's only the leader who gets to have sex with whoever he wants. And also then he also got kids in there who's like, they're need God's love. This was the cult that basically idealized that it's through sex you find God.
Right.
And he did this very manipulatively and also included children into it. And the one guy who, the saddest part is you can pull up on YouTube,
David
it's still
Ito.
there. David Ito, one of the saddest stories, is this guy took upon a mission to go down because they were in South America.
From a young child, like they published a newsletter with like, this is going to be like the godchild that takes over, and literally in this thing, like, look at him just feeling on these big titties, and they would he humps his little sister. They're having such fun.
He gets out and isn't talking to a therapist or anything like that, and isn't dealing. And he does a tape of him basically like loading guns and getting weapons. And he does a tape like, I don't know what to do. I have to go stop this. I have to go kill them. I don't want to do this. This isn't something I want to do. You can get those tapes. Like you can see it on YouTube.
And that's the thing. The general consensus is like, no, this was just a good dude who was just like fucked.
Right.
From literally and metaphorically, that he's like, no, I need to go. I need some vengeance against the people that did this to me.
Because they had moved to South America out of extradition and stuff like that. It started, I think, in points in America, but then they moved because that's the whole point. And they still exist to this day. The Children of God cult, like they still exist, but they've changed.
Also in their original incarnation, they weren't as heavy on like the kid sex. That was something that evolved.
Right, he came into this and manipulated them, and I can't remember his name. And fuck him, whatever. But yeah, it's a crazy thing. But you can check out those tapes of him like loading guns, and he's just distraught. So if you want to fucking check out some crime shit, that whole story's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that reminded me of. Have you seen Keepers on Netflix? It came out over a year with the Catholic Church and the
it's an unspoken story in the Catholic Church. They were fucking the girls.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That fucked me over.
Yeah, that was really.
It was just like, that's like manipulation right there. This
I watched Spotlight again just recently, not too long ago. Did you?
That was the Boston Globe.
That was the Boston Globe exploring that was kind of what really set a lot of fire to underneath of the whole
the initial
out.
expose. This is like the film story of them like getting the initial thing of like the Boston diocese there's all these molestations and they're just moving these priests. This was the first thing of it really coming to light publicly.
And connecting the way the church dealt with it outside of even Boston and where they were moving kids to. It started with like pinning it and getting it down factually with kids in Boston being shuffled around, priests coming in and going out and being moved. And then they started to realize and they wanted to get them damned hard evidence of like, no, this is church policy. This is how the church does it. And they also think about it globally. So they started looking more and more, and before you know it, they kind of figured out how to identify how the church moved pedophiles around, and it's hundreds and hundreds of cases.
Yeah, I feel like, like every major kind of city has like one of those. I feel like it's not surprising, why it's been so connected.
The list at the end.
But I feel like every religion has some sort of negative aspect in a way.
Sure.
Whether it's like the practice of
Buddhist killers,
some sort of abuse, whether physically or psychologically.
With the Catholic Church, it was very clearly a bureaucracy thing.
Yes.
There's nothing in the doctrine that made this okay, aside from we should revere priests.
Yes.
They're held to such a high regard, and for what reason? Like, what do you have to do?
I mean, still, the absolute biggest court settlement from any of this actually wasn't Catholics. It was Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
Because they reacted very much the same way, but because they're more a niche, they kept it under wraps for like much longer, and it was like far more prevalent in like ratio to the membership.
Really?
Yeah.
I say far more prevalent is pretty crazy. I mean,
in ratio to membership.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do Jehovah's Witnesses have? They do have churches. I feel like you don't see them.
They do. They're just they're not.
Hall.
Yeah, they're not the type of churches you normally would see. It's usually just like it looks like a VFW hall. Usually, it's just like an outside building. They don't do steeples and stuff like that. They don't have those kinds of buildings.
Could you do comedy there?
100%.
Absolutely, dude.
100%.
I've read about this. I'm a big fan of Kurt Metzger, who was a former Jehovah's Witness, but he talks about some of like the urban legends they had, and one of the urban legends that's been spread through all of Jehovah's Witnesses is they're very big on like idolatry, where it's like they don't want you like bringing an action figure or like a toy in the house because objects can possess demons within them, and you like bring them into the house. There's an urban legend about it. One of these kingdom halls, a small child brought a Smurf doll in with them, but in the preaching, the Smurf doll and the demon within couldn't handle the light of God, and the Smurf doll got up out of the mother's purse and walked angrily out of the church. This is something people believed for many years. Look up Jehovah's Witnesses and Smurfs and just show me what pops up.
That's like Antichrist right there.
Something like that. Yeah.
Smurfs.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, they were magical little creatures, and there was always it's one of those things that some religions get hung up on. Like another big thing Jehovah's Witnesses, like, Jesus was killed on a stake, not a cross. The cross was the symbol of the Roman emperor at the time. It's like, yeah, so what? Oh. But it's like, no, it's idolatry to even consider any of that. See, right? First thing, Jehovah's Witnesses hate the Smurfs.
Yeah. So in the early 80s, the primary preoccupations of the Jehovah's Witnesses were Armageddon, Smurfs, Michael Jackson, and demonic attack, but not necessarily in that order. So yeah, they were just like all these things, which makes sense because they come out of technically the Christianity that broke away from like Martin Luther. Like you have Martin Luther being separating idolatry and icons because they didn't want. That's the whole point. The church had been like, yeah, hey, you can take this into your home, even though you're not supposed to bear fault and have a God
right.
other than. God, but like they started to do that where if you have this in your home, you can pay for it, and then tithing, indulgences, like we said. So all that came out. Then Martin Luther, and then you have the sects that broke off from that. So this is like another corruption of that. That's crazy.
It's literally almost like if you are giving reverence or enjoyment to a non-person thing, it's like that's the equivalent of worshiping it and treating it as a god. It's really fucking dumb.
It makes sense that Michael Jackson's on here in terms of how big he was in the 80s. Yeah,
Michael Jackson was a Jehovah's Witnesses. He got disfellowshipped and kicked out over the Thriller video. That's why if you've ever seen the Thriller video, it has the what's it called? The preceding warning before that just says this video in no way reflects my beliefs about the witchcraft or the occult. And that's because of Jehovah's Witnesses, and they kicked him out anyway.
Wow.
Because again, for them stupidly, like he's showing bringing the dead back to life, and we know that there's only one person. Like they're literally worried people will worship Mike. Well, I guess that did kind of fall through in its own way.
Yeah, let's leave it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
Jehovah's Witnesses wanted to keep all that kid fucking to themselves. They didn't want somebody.
Premise I'm working on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Rusty Wright still is my favorite one about him. But,
yeah,
that's such a good joke. God, we wandered off there for a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
So, last thing is death. What do you think happens when we die? Are you worried about it?
I feel like you're going to go to the right place regardless of whether you worship or not actively.
But the important thing is you think there's a place.
Yeah, I think there's a place.
God,
fuck
Jesus,
you, Neil.
Every time.
Woo, we got to start keeping a tally.
Where do we go? Like, where do we, like, what? Yeah.
I'm
an atheist. Where do we go now?
I'm an atheist. That's why he's doing that. That's why, because I don't think biological existence doesn't allow for an afterlife.
He thinks he is only made up of the molecules of his body.
I actually say that it doesn't allow for it. I say that in terms of what we know for biological science and things like that, there's no evidence to support that our consciousness, which is founded through biology, and is, I know, hard to understand, but it is.
It's hard to understand for us plebes.
Yeah, no, I just mean consciousness and all. We all, I mean, that's what meditation is, right? It's the understanding of consciousness. It's hard to do. There's Buddhist monks who have meditated for 40 years trying to understand consciousness, right? It doesn't mean just because of our unique ability to perceive past and future events and we have that consciousness. I think we want to wish that it goes on, but I don't think it does. I think your energy goes back into the earth, you just die and go into the earth.
I believe in like deja vu. I believe in the butterfly effect. I believe in things like that. Like I feel like there's things I have seen in certain.
I appreciate it. I totally get it. I mean, that's why I looked up a lot of the science, like deja vu and stuff like that. I was like, well, then what the hell is that going on? It's just like, oh, it's your brain, playing catch up, and there's a lot of science out there in terms of studying of the field of that of neuroscience and everything like that. It's very, very interesting. It interests me. That's the whole point. I did a lot of that. Just like education during college, just being like, I got to figure out what is going on in terms of biology, and that's when I got into like a lot of neuroscience and social science and stuff like that. But I mean, it's also, I don't take it away. The thing that started to really annoy me and stuff is like, okay, yeah, of course, like believing what you believe. It's the separation of that going into other people's lives. Like when I guess everyone wants to say like, no, you can practice your belief and that's fine, but it seems like any majority of people always want to enforce their belief onto other people. I mean, we've seen it so many times, especially in this country.
Well, it's human nature.
It is, and that's what bumps me out.
Yeah, it's either my way, or we just can't come to an agreement. Why do you like? I feel like people shouldn't care where other people go to heaven or hell.
I totally agree with that.
I feel like it shouldn't be such a thing to where it's like, you force your belief in other people. I feel like now I believe, but I also see the good aspect of religion where it could be used in a form of meditation.
Of course,
it might have benefited someone that was a troubled part of their life because it does provide things like community. But like we always think of the condemnation part, but I feel like there is good aspects, even though like I'm not fully against religion. I'm fully against people practicing to a not extreme extent, and that could be a wide variety to the point where we're killing someone, but just like taking each and every one of your actions and God into consideration over your actual initial thought of what you're gonna do. But there's a benefit to it.
So I always urge people to check out, because it's from seeing multiple debates among religious scholars to academics in more of an atheistic view. It's funny that we're talking like Judeo, also like Christian, Catholicistic religious scholars who go eventually it always moves towards, well, you can't say there is no God, which is very funny because, hey, listen, man. If I'm arguing with Judeo people, Christian, do you all have the same God? Is it the same thing, or Yahweh and stuff like that? But before you know it, you have the conversation that, like, exactly, I've already moved you off the point where you're claiming your God is better than the Jewish God. And we're already on a point where we get to go like, well, sure, whatever. But the whole point is here, you can't even nail down. I've already got you to the place where you're like, you can't prove that God doesn't exist. It's like, okay, cool. What about your God? You're telling me yours is better than Jewish. Why the Greek gods not work for you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point, is a lot of these debates, they're won in so many ways, and it's crazy to me that people don't see how it works, because I've seen like religious scholars argue points like, it does say you could have God exist, and they'll get into the science of it or try to Christian science that they do. I was like, you've already lost.
I do think if there's anything, I really don't believe in like a personality God. There's nothing about that like God, like if you're looking at the back of a baseball card, like God's attributes, I don't see any of that.
And people have said this before. I am against organized religion. I am someone who I will say that openly. I am not for it, and that's my answer. None.
Neil Wood likes his religion sloppy.
Yeah, I'm just against. I don't think it's.
What about
sloppy Joseph of Arimathea?
I'm not against. Like I said,
gotcha.
Take the good and the bad from it, but you don't think they're So depending on, it sounds messed up, depending on the religion, and it always depends on how it's taught, what sort of, like some sort of structure. I feel like I feel like each religion, like I said, basic, there has some stuff you could agree with, and some stuff you're like, this is wacky. Get the fucking wacky stuff out of your head.
Yeah, and I've heard religious scholars, I know this got really, sorry, everybody. I've heard religious scholars that make the case for all the good stuff that religion has done. I mean, take Christianity, for example, or Catholicism. I mean, it's been around for a very long time, and it has helped in terms of soup kitchens. I mean, over years and years, I mean, to the homeless, I mean, my aunt's a nun. She's taking care of homeless people probably currently, like right now. What the problem with that is yes, because we came from a place of belief, in something that I don't think, not a lot of people don't think that there's facts to support. But we came from a place of delusion. I'm going to say delusion. I hope no one freaks out. Delusion. We came from a place of listeners. We came from a place of that is real. We did all this good stuff. I get it. That makes sense, right? Like we did all this good stuff for people, and there's some bad stuff in there, but there's all this good stuff. But that doesn't have anything to do with the pure fact that if you had atheistic views that were also supported at that time, you would also be able to build all the community stuff around the idea of humanistic views, of helping your someone else, because it's the right thing to do, because community relies on all of us, helping each other out, right? The same thing like in micro ways.
Neil,
I know this is very
counterpoint.
Yes.
How can you look into the eyes of a 1-year-old baby and say there's no God?
Oh, I do it all the time.
That's all the proof I need right there. The smile of a child
right.
proves God to me. I'm actually going to my cousin's son's one year birthday when I leave here.
Yeah, there's a lot of priests who said that same thing.
But what is interesting though, it's kind of crazy. Like I said, bouncing back and forth around churches. I didn't get baptized until I was 16.
Sure.
So
okay.
that was like a long age.
You had to make like an actual decision.
Yeah, I made an actual decision.
Yeah,
my grandparents, like I guess they never figured to do it when I was younger, but like everyone gets baptized when they're younger.
Sure.
But,
I got you.
We had it planned, and then things get away from you.
Yeah, dude. He's fucking solving crimes.
Yeah.
He's busy solving crimes, man. Hey. I got you. But anyway, that was a very boring and long-winded bullshit thing that I did. It was my fault. I apologize. I mean, I get into it. We've talked about, and I hope that I'm not repeating myself on this podcast too much, because I think usually it comes to a different place, and I share a little bit each time. If I am repeating myself, please message us, and I'll shut the fuck up. I'm totally fine with that, because everyone's like, "Fucking shut up, atheist! You fucking piece of shit! Everyone hates you. Stop fucking telling us what to do." I'm not telling you what to do. Your beliefs are stupid. No. But anyway, thank you, Aaron. It'd be awesome for you to plug some of your stuff. Anything you got coming up, social media and all that kind of cool stuff, dude.
I don't have anything this month, but follow me on Instagram at AaronCBell93.
When are you on my show?
Next month.
That's next month, right? So you don't have anything.
Yeah.
You don't have anything August, but you're in September. Yeah.
So
and it's at the. Are you at the Pop-In? No. Yeah, you're at the Pop-In. I think you're at the Pop-In.
That is September 19th.
Yeah, September 19th.
Thursday. So
yeah, come out to the Pop-In. You can come and check that out. Tickets are up right now, so you can go to nerdswithwordspodcast.com to get those tickets if you want to check that out. And that is Chalfont, PA. And it's at the Pop-In. It's an awesome place. We're going to be doing the big room, so you're going to have a lot of fun doing that. And you can see Aaron talk about black stuff.
Yeah, basically.
And more things. I just wanted to really, I wanted to pigeonhole myself like Jesse does.
If you want to hear Jesse talk about some white stuff,
ew.
every first and third Wednesday at, ironically, the Black Cat
Tavern.
Tavern.
Look at that.
And we have another sober show coming up at the Kiss Club in Woodbury, New Jersey. It's going to be on August 24th. We got Che Guerrero on that show.
He's great.
That's going to be good.
Cool.
Yeah, he just taped his hour, right? He just did his
That's
hour
right.
Punchline. It's probably not out yet for people, but like he's a friend of the podcast and stuff like that.
You can find that on Wasted Robot Records.
Yeah, that thing's gonna be good. That was amazing.
It's gonna be a good one.
That's gonna be a good one. Black Cat, and the tickets are up, or what? Or there's no tickets for the Black Cat show that you do.
No, that's
No.
the Black Cat show is just
for
free.
fun. Yeah.
Just show up. It's a happy hour show, 6:45. At Jesse Dram on Twitter and Instagram. At Magic Misery Tour if you want to follow the podcast on Twitter. Magical Misery Tour on Facebook.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Good job. Oh, Aaron, what's your social? Social media, not your social. What's your social security number? What's your social media, man?
Instagram, AaronCBell93.
Nice.
It's Facebook.
I think you're like Aaron Bell 9 or something.
Yeah, I don't really use my Twitter too much. So
I got you. Don't worry about it. Yeah, a lot of Twitter. I'm not. I think Instagram's
it's just
taking
too
over
much
the world.
if you're trying to do all of them. It's like God.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. I don't care.
Instagram for what we do, I think it's taking over. I know a lot of comics are just like Twitter people, but I feel like I don't know. I think a lot of it is just Instagram is taking over the world. So just Instagram is fine, dude. Good work. So check that out.
About your bitch ass.
I know, right?
That's right.
Thank you, everybody. And come back next week. But happy Saturday to you. Later, guys. Bye.
Bye.
This has been a DropTent Media production.